giving me a chance to share some of my thoughts on it. Looking forward to what happens today, and appreciate you as always. Great job with your show.
Appreciate you, man. Yeah, and if you guys don't follow Jamie, definitely do so, man. He also hosts spaces on the platform, does a fantastic job as well. So appreciate you, man. Thanks for popping in. Let's see here. Dr. Tad, what do you got, man?
Yeah, shout out to everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening across the globe. I just want to give my thoughts on the chart, what's going on at the moment, and again, re-emphasize what I have been talking about in this space for more than 6 months now, and the huge potentials of what is coming, so that at least people can be carried along. And yeah, the chart, in my opinion, Bitcoin on the monthly time frame, bullish vibes, weekly time frame, also bullish vibes. But the good news is that there is a huge correction that's coming. Everything now has fallen in place for this correction that we have been talking about ever since. And corrections are always, part of the market. It gives an ample of time for other people to join the bandwagon, And yeah, so I think Bitcoin should correct to at least first off 74K lows that they created of recent matched up this new highs of 82K. We had 2 double tops. He failed to commit to the first one, but I think it's going to carry out the ordeals of this we are seeing at the moment. And yeah, everything is confirming, and so the current movement of the market is a kind of weekly retest, right? There's a weekly double bottom, and right now everything is now aligned for that retest. So it's coming. So and the areas we are looking out for at max it's 69K. There's a huge liquidity there that will help the chart foster upward momentum to at least that 97K highs, which we created before we started crashing. Yeah, so I think that's that for the Bitcoin. Then I want to say hype, right? Hype is very, very bearish. Forget about what you're seeing right now on that chart. Hyper liquid, that token is very, very bearish. So, and I feel hype we visit 34K again, from the weekly. Because what's happening right now is a basic retest of the.
You think it's going to come down to $34?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because I'm going to be taking a huge swing shot on hype. It can even go lower to swing the liquidity at the most recent lows. The chart on hype technically is very, very bearish. So I think that's for that. Again, before I yield the mic, I want to talk about what, before this thing on Tom blockchain. I think I was talking about Ton, Durov, and all of this Cocoon AI, if you can remember clearly, and all of that. How big these narratives in crypto is. And right now we're seeing all these things materializing. Ton is having also a huge correction at the moment. And Durov just talked about the step 3 of M-Tonga, like make tongue great again. And in all sense, Cocoon AI. Just now, Durov just posted Telegram's AI, has the updated some features or something. So I think they are building a decentralized LLM, like a neuro-symbolic LLM. That's what he talked about in an open show last year. AI that can reason logically. And there's this subject of superiority tech Durov talked about. And all these things are going to come from this Cocoon network, and that Durov is trying to, that crypto home, majority of persons want in Web3. That's what that man is trying to build on Telegram. Like, he talked about meme coins having their real communities in Telegram, creating Telegram gift attached to them, like the one I belong to now, which is the Cocoon community. He created a gift that represents Cocoon AI narrative, which is the 3D render Easter egg. The community members were the one that actually.
Dr. Ted, I just want to bring this back to Bitcoin right now. I appreciate you, man. I know we've talked a lot about this. I just want to keep it on because we're getting close here to having the live stream live, and I just want to keep it Bitcoin focused, kind of Clarity Act focused for right now, man. Price action's cool though. I do like the call on hype. I do think here too. Maybe even a pullback into the mid 20s. I don't think that would be out of the realm of possibilities. I would load back up there too. I opened up my position around $29 on Hyperliquid, bought again at 31. So my average cost is like 30. I own it spot right now. So I'm in a good spot. I'm just kind of watching it. If we come back down into that 30 range, which, that's kind of what I'm seeing on the weekly, I think that would be another phenomenal scoop up the dip opportunity on hype. I love it as a long-term play. Is that kind of what you're seeing too? Like anywhere kind of $30 ish?
Let me give you the range where I think hype is going to. I think this is the last move before the bear market for hype comes in. Like hype, I think hype we visit $25 is huge, right? Hype broke out of this current what we are seeing on the daily time frame, that frame bullish work that started on the day of I think January 26, right? That's a bearish flag that have tested the neckline of the overall weekly head and shoulder, right? So it's a bearish flag, and everything right now is looking very, very bearish for hype coin. Hype, I think we visit these recent lows of 25, even 20, before we see a major move for hype token. I just said let me do that because
are you opening up a short on it soon?
I'm yeah, for sure, but I've not confirmed the entry. The entry is inbound and it's going to be huge. It's going to be a swing trade, and at least, but let us equate our risk to the rewards. So we're waiting for that confirmation entry. Yeah, the hype is bearish, very, very bearish. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Some other altcoins that I find pretty interesting right now. These are more like longer term cyclical holds. I mean, hype is that for me. I think there could be some pullback there. I mean, it's been outperforming in the bear market for a really long time. And yeah, to your point, technically it looks like it wants to roll over a little bit. But some assets that I like, obviously I like hype still coming out of this into a more bullish, momentum cycle. Zcash is another one I'm starting to stack a little bit more quietly on. I bought it during the first big run up, took a little profits, made some money on it, made a few thousand on it, whatever. And now I'm kind of holding on to what I've got and maybe even looking to add some there. I think the Zcash narrative is interesting. Near protocol, that chart looks pretty good right now. Just been kind of quietly, sneaking up. And then the other perp dexes, Aster and EdgeX. EdgeX has performed phenomenally throughout, this bear market. I know it just launched in late March, but it's looked really, really solid. And Aster hasn't done much, but it's one of my longer term conviction plays as well. But those are just some other thoughts I had on the altcoin side of things. So we've got everything pulled up on the Banking Senate website. Coverage begins here at 10:30. We'll see if they come on right at 10:30. But when they do come on, I'll play everything through stream, guys. And we'll listen in. We could stop at various points and kind of talk through some things, but we will listen into a lot of the talk here in a few. So I'll have it live. We're live on YouTube, live on X. Appreciate everybody listening here, whether you're on Spaces, listening to the live stream on YouTube, X. If you guys are listening to the live streams, help us out. Make sure you guys do share the stream, send it out to some other folks, get some more people in here, help us out, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And I'll be looking through all the chats too and seeing if there's comments there as well. And all of that. But yeah, if you're on Spaces, appreciate you guys as well for being here. And just appreciate all the support.
And Zach, real quick, don't forget, guys, we are doing a $250 giveaway in ETH. If you sign up for one of the trading platforms in Zach's pinned post. So. Oh
yeah, good call. I'll post that up in the nest. Yeah, definitely. Okay, perfect. Yeah, definitely get in on that too, guys. Good opportunity there. Mutaska, what's up, man? I saw your hand up. And by the way, anybody else on the space want to come on up and you got some thoughts on Clarity Act market stuff, come on up, man. We'd love to have you. Come on up, join the show. Mutaska, what's up, man?
I was going to add a little bit of comment on the Clarity Act. I think it's likely to go through internally, but to get that 60 votes, it's going to be a little tricky. And I think and this is just my view, right? I'm looking at this and saying the Republicans, it will be a huge plus on them to get this to the finish line because they're largely viewed as more pro crypto. And so if you look at the optics, for example, if you're going into the midterms and you're viewed as opposed to crypto, you're going to need some time to raise some money against your whoever is competing against you. And if they can get this through, they're going to probably rack up their donations, their campaign donations, right? From the crypto. And if you go on like, OpenSecrets.org, and you pull up the I don't know, they don't update it frequently, but that number, there's a good amount of money in there. And so if they're going to back anybody in the midterms, that money will come from that bucket. And the people supporting that bucket, Coinbase, Ripple, what's the other one? There's some other VCs that are backing it. What's the A16Z and other people. So they all put the money in that bucket. And they back candidates that, are looking to push crypto legislation forward. I think the bankers are just going to fail. They're going to lose this. It doesn't look good on their side. If I were them, I'd probably focus on acquiring more matured protocols that are looking to position themselves for the stablecoin, adoption that is coming. The fact that they're continuing to push and fight this, I think it's more on like they're trying to stall it because, as you know, Congress, they go on recess in August and they come back, it's campaign season, right? So then, God forbid, if something happens, right? If there's a blow up or, something related to crypto plays out before the campaign starts, right? They're probably not going to talk about this bill until 2027. So maybe the Elizabeth Warren crowd, they're not trying to be good actors here, right? If they're introducing all kinds of amendments, it's not that they want any of those amendments to get included. It's more like, hey, let's figure out a way to slow these people down and close in the time so that we can have a good excuse to not even talk about crypto bill, right? But one thing that I would say about this is, don't get sucked into, hey, this bill has to pass for crypto to run, okay? And again, it could help crypto, but don't get sucked into it as like, oh my gosh, if this doesn't pass, crypto is probably gonna just like trade sideways or continue to go down. If you're in that camp, you're probably not doing your research right? Because there are other factors that could drive the market. But I've said this before, 22 out of 23 cycles since 1930, okay? The market is never like, you just pumped into the midterms. So you're gonna have to, show something to prove this data wrong. And for that reason, I would think that people will get sucked into this bill being like a make or break. And if the market were to sink before the midterms, they're like, oh my gosh, because the bill didn't go through, or because, Elizabeth Warren didn't do this and that. Like, it's just cycles. And I think if you take the cycles and you look at where we're headed and the plays, what these people are trying to do, they're just trying to delay it, right? They're trying to delay it, or maybe they're trying to push their own narrative for the banks, regardless of how you see it. I'm not looking forward to it as something that could pump my bags. I'm hoping it passes, but I'm not expecting it to go through, right? And for that reason, I'm putting my eyes on when the cycle signals. I mean, look at Bitcoin. Everybody's hoping for that 85, 80, 86, 87. You want me to believe that $500 or maybe $2,000 is so huge for Bitcoin to sweep, right? If it doesn't sweep it, it tells me that, and again, this is the view from, if Bitcoin is viewed as a liquidity alarm, you don't want to believe that, oh my gosh, Bitcoin doesn't have the ability to sweep that gap, that little tiny gap that would keep it to sustain that, hey, this momentum is going to be pushing upwards. That gap is so tiny. I mean, Bitcoin can do like $10,000 in a day, right? It's done that before. So the fact that it's hanging around and it's going back down, and it tells me that it all aligns with the fact that this is going to drag on into the elections. We're not going to see any meaningful move until after the elections. That's what the data says, because there's inflation risk that's going on, and there has to be some drastic shift from Kevin Wash's entry. The market is still sniffing through all of that. You can see it.
I agree 100%, Matasco. This market is waiting for a new regime to come in and to find out what it wants to do based on these new policies and new voices, right? And I mean, if you look at price action for the longest time here, I mean, it's just been chop, chop, chop. We go from the bottom of the range to the top of the range, to the bottom of the range to the top of the range, and then we're kind of trapped, and it's by design. I agree 100%. The traders right now are enjoying it, but we haven't had a volatile move in this market in a while. The last volatile move, I mean, it's been a slow grind off of 60K, upwards to 80,000 here and a little above it, right? But it hasn't been a straight line shot. Like we had a straight line shot down from 71 to 60 in a day. Speaking of like a $10,000 move on Bitcoin, that was the last volatile move. And that was, correct me if I'm wrong, that was early February, right? I mean, that's been the last volatile move. It's been since early February. So yeah, since that time, it's basically been chop, chop, chop. We're waiting. We're stalling. We're waiting. We're stalling. We're waiting until we get Warsh in here. We're waiting until we get, new policy decision makers and to see what this market wants to do. Um,
I think we just got to be careful with historicals, man. And I've said this a few times. Specific.
we're getting ready to fire it up. Can you guys hear this? Scott.
For law enforcement to do their job. Today, we changed that. The bill we are marking up achieves 3 simple goals. Number 1, protecting consumers, keeping innovation here at home, and safeguarding U.S. national security. Those are not partisan goals. They are American priorities. Protecting consumers means making sure everyday people come first. It means clear disclosures, safeguards against fraud, and rules that keep markets open, fair, and efficient. It means that if someone in South Carolina invests in digital assets, they are protected by a framework with real enforceable legal standards. This bill gives Americans confidence that the system works for them, not against them. Keeping innovation here at home means giving American builders, entrepreneurs, and businesses the clarity and certainty to do what they do best. Until today, outdated rules, unpredictable enforcement, and outright hostility have forced far too many American companies overseas. That cost us jobs, investment, and leadership. This bill says that the future of finance should be built in America, under American laws, and with American values. Safeguarding our national security means closing the doors that criminals, terrorists, and hostile regimes have tried to exploit. This bill strengthens anti-money laundering and sanctions rules and gives law enforcement better tools to go after bad actors. These tools make it harder to hide and easier to enforce the law. None of this happened overnight. It happened because members on both sides of the aisle chose to sit down, listen, and work. We've had months of good faith negotiations. Republicans did not get everything we wanted, but we made real progress with our Democrat colleagues. And this bill, and ultimately, and more importantly, the American people will be better off because of it. This legislation does not take sides between traditional finance and new technology, or Republicans and Democrats. It takes the side of everyday Americans. It brings digital assets out of the shadows and into a system that is safer, fairer, and more transparent. This is what good governance looks like. Today, we take a step forward together to protect investors, grow our economy, and keep America leading the world. I'm proud of this committee for doing the work, and I look forward to moving this bill forward. I now recognize Ranking Member Warren for opening comments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Right now, American families all across this country are struggling. The cost of groceries is up, the cost of utilities is up, the cost of health care is up. We could be working right now on changes in the law that would help bring down prices and help unrig our economy. You know, we could be working on capping credit card interest rates. Every day that we fail to deliver, families are charged an extra $368 million in interest. We could be preventing big banks from saddling customers with overdraft fees. Every year that we fail to deliver, families could be paying up to $5 billion a year that they otherwise would be able to keep. We could be stopping rampant fraud and theft on payment platforms. Our failure to deliver here means that Americans are paying hundreds of billions of dollars after getting tricked and trapped. But instead of that, we're spending our time working on a bill written by the crypto industry for the crypto industry. Nothing made it into this bill that wasn't approved by the crypto industry. And why? Why are we working on this? According to a survey by crypto news outlet CoinDesk, quote, crypto is at the bottom of U.S. voters' priority heading into elections. Just 1% of respondents rank crypto as their top concern. Look, our job is to serve the American people. Our job is not to advance a pro-industry crypto bill that will put American consumers, American investors, and our national security and our financial system at risk. Our job is not to advance a pro-industry crypto bill that will grease the skids for the President of the United States crypto grift while tens of millions of Americans can't afford the basics. Many members of this committee have underscored the importance of getting this bill right. And despite multiple calls for a public hearing on this bill, calls from Senator Reid, Senator Kennedy, Senator Van Hollen, Senator Smith, we have never had a single hearing on this bill. And today, Mr. Chairman, you are shutting down members of this committee who have amendments to strengthen this bill. You ruled out more than a dozen amendments because of, quote, procedural requirements. And take a look at what got ruled out. This includes a fix requested by the National Sheriff's Association to close a massive loophole in the current bill that would make it harder for law enforcement officials to go after cartels and criminals using decentralized platforms to launder money. So the sheriff's concerns have just been cut out. This includes a fix from community banks to stop a significant flight of deposits out of the banking system that will hurt small businesses and communities across the country. An amendment to help community banks. We won't even get a hearing today, much less a vote. Now, Mr. Chairman, you could simply reverse your ruling right now, and I would welcome a full debate on every single Democratic and Republican amendment that has been filed to fix the very real flaws in this bill. Look, this bill is just not ready for prime time. First, the draft in front of us would blow a hole in our securities laws that have protected investors since 1929. Most Americans don't want their pensions at risk so that a few crypto billionaires can juice their own profits. Second, this bill declares open season on defrauding American consumers who use crypto. The bill wipes out a huge number of state-level protections against fraud. Third, the bill puts our financial system at risk by repeating the mistakes of 2008, letting the banks load up on risky debts, letting them scrape off the profits, and then, when it all comes crashing down, come back to the American taxpayer for a bailout. Fourth, the bill puts our national security at greater risk. Just 3 days ago, the Treasury Department issued an alert warning that Iran is exploiting crypto businesses to move their money around. Multiple public analyses documents that that drug cartels are shifting their money laundering to crypto, and quote, the cops can't keep up. And finally, the bill doesn't lift even the tiniest finger to address the Trump administration's crypto-related corruption. Since taking office last year, President Trump and his family have amassed a staggering $1.4 billion in gains from crypto deals alone. No president and no one in Congress should be allowed to profit from crypto at the same time that they are enforcing rules to regulate it. This kind of corruption undermines our democracy, and it undermines the legitimacy of the crypto industry. It will keep right on growing if Congress fails to rein it in. Now, a year ago, some of you may remember, Republicans sat in this very room and made one promise after another as they passed the Genius Act. What did they promise? They promised we'll close the national security loopholes. They promised we'll address glaring ethics problems. They promised we'll fix the yield issue. Republicans told us not to worry about the gaps in the first crypto bill because the second bill, the bill we have today, would fix every one of those problems. Well, today we are voting on the second bill, and every one of those problems still exists today. And this time, the same Republicans are shutting down amendments that would make the fixes they promised a year ago. This markup is our chance to fix these problems. And until we fix these problems, none of us, Republican or Democrat, should advance this bill out of committee or onto the Senate floor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am. I do want to make a couple of comments about the process that we've undertaken over the last several months, and particularly as it relates to some of the amendments that were taken out because they were not in order. After the amendment process had a walkthrough, Ranking Member Warren's staff objected to a Republican amendment on a technical drafting issue, arguing it should be thrown out because it referenced the wrong substitute amendment number. Once they insisted on that standard, committee staff reviewed the full amendment roster to ensure consistency. Staff confirmed with the committee clerk in consultation with a parliamentarian and floor staff that there were amendments that were filed incorrectly. What I decided to do was to, as opposed to throwing all those amendments out, throw out only the ones that were the most egregious. So the process that we've actually gone through was to make sure that both sides had an opportunity. But this whole discrepancy started when staffers decided to target a Republican amendment. And frankly, as my colleagues on my right recognize, I threw out amendments on our side as well and had to talk to our folks about that. At this time, I'll recognize.
Mr. Chairman,
sure.
Might I reply on that? I appreciate the work we do together, but I want to correct the record on one important issue. It is your call and your call alone to rule these amendments out of order. When we talked last night, I made clear, I'm happy to have all of the amendments in, all of the Democratic amendments in, all of the Republican amendments in. You and you alone have decided which amendments are in and which amendments are out. And that creates a problem because there are some very important amendments that address some very important issues that I think we should hear from. So I will reiterate my lack of objection today. Let them all be heard. Let us vote on all of them.
Thank you. That doesn't change the fact on how we got to where we are, however. It was brought by my staff, it was brought by your staff, number one. Number two, let me just say this very clearly because I'm not going to go back and forth on this issue. Democrats have frankly worked hard on this bill. Our bill first came out in June of last year. Since June of last year, we've added 33,000 words, 219 pages in an effort to make this legislation as bipartisan as humanly possible. I can't imagine how much time Senator Alsobrooks has spent on this legislation. Frankly, frankly, during very difficult and challenging times, her focus remained on getting things done. And Tillis worked with her on parts of the very legislation that we're talking about, where the negotiation allowed us to get to where we are. Gallego has spent a ton of time talking with members on this side, Bernie Moreno and others, trying to find a path forward. So the truth of the matter is, as frustrating as this process has been, without question, when I talk to members on your side of the aisle, including Warnock and Senator, we call her CCM, but Catherine Cortez Masto and Senator Warner, the one thing I can tell you, the entire process, we have disagreed vehemently, but respectfully and consistently, and working towards an end result that makes America better. As a kid who grew up in poverty, the thing that attracts me to this issue the most is democratization, an opportunity to lower prices, create access points that today does not exist. This ought not be about Republicans and Democrats. It ought not be about who's on which side of the aisle or whether you agree with what we've done. This should be about the American people and nothing else. I want single mothers like the one that raised me to have more opportunities, more access at a lower price. And so we will disagree on this today. But I hope that what we end up with is a legislative product that is good now and gets another bite at the apple as it heads to the floor. This is not over. And I hope that no one thinks that this is over. This process has been transparent, it has been hard, and it has been clear. And that's good news for the American people who are watching this process. I tried my very best to take the expertise of an AG who understands issues better than others. I worked really hard with folks who was a county supervisor, as I was, to understand the local impact in community banks. We've done a very good job of putting it together. Now, I'm a little long-winded because I wanted to be a preacher like Warnock. but it didn't work out for me. God didn't call me to that. He didn't call me to that.
Mr. Chair, stay in your lane.
Yes. Someone should say amen before he takes up an offering. But I'm just, here's the point. Here's the point. This is a real opportunity to move the ball forward. For a lot of people in a lot of places, that's losing confidence in American institutions. Let's not demonize because it's easy. Let's work together because it's hard and important. Senator Lummis.
Mr. Chairman, I have a point of order.
Certainly.
Thank you. And I agree with you. I think we need to continue to move forward. And so in that vein, my question is, so we don't run afoul of this in the future, is the amendment, Cortez Masto 16 was ruled out of order.
Yes.
And can you explain why it was out of order? That would help me in the future.
Certainly. We asked all amendments to be written to the ANS, and the amendments were written to the Friday Clarity Act. Friday when we released the legislation, we asked the amendments to be written to the substitute language.
Right. And it was?
It was not.
How was it not? That would be helpful, just so I know.
I can pull it up. It was written to the HR, and it is a strike and replace of text in the HR that was not in there because it's in the ANS. We talked to the floor, and they said if they had received an amendment like this, that is a strike and replace, that is written as a put in the appropriate place, it would not have been accepted on the floor.
So just so we have a clarification for the future for all of us, so we don't get caught in this or that, these are ours. I asked the parliamentarian if this was out of order, and she said no. And so I do think it will be helpful in the future so that we don't get caught up in this craziness and we still can move forward as a body that works together on amendments, has conversation, discussion, that we have an understanding of these amendments. So I just appreciate you taking my point of order.
Absolutely.
And for the record, I will submit the parliamentarian's response to the question that I had about my amendment number 16.
Without objection.
Thank you.
We will submit our conversation with the parliamentarians as well. Senator Lummis, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to start by a casual conversation among friends that are around this dais. Mr. Warner, thank you so much for working so hard on this bill over the last 9 months. Senator Cortez Masto, thank you. You brought a level of expertise on illicit finance that none of the rest of us had, and I want to thank you so much for that. Your thoughts, Mr. Warnock, throughout the last 9 months have been additive to what I think is a very good bill. Mr. Gallego has worked tirelessly behind the scenes on multiple issues that are involved in this legislation. And I want to single out Senator Also Brooks for her tremendous time commitment and work with Mr. Tillis on the language that has helped bring this bill to the floor today on the concerns that the banking industry had about the Genius Act. This has been a bipartisan dialogue that has gone on for 9 months. It has been almost tireless. And Mr. Marino, Mr. Tillis, Mr. Kennedy, honest.
Not everything.
And especially Senator Scott, who has kept us on track for 9 months. This is the hardest piece of legislation I've ever worked on. I served 14 years in the Wyoming legislature, 8 years as state treasurer, and now 14 years in the Congress. This is by far the hardest piece of legislation I've ever worked on. And your colleague, Kirsten Gillibrand, said the same thing. And she has more experience than I do in the U.S. Senate. And it's because this is a case of first impression. This is a very new commodity and security. And it takes time to craft something to address the innovation that has been brought about through blockchain technology. And that's why it's taken such a bipartisan effort, heavy lift, lots of negotiations, involvement from those people who are in the industry. And it has morphed since we began this bill 5 years ago because the industry has matured over those years. This is new. And to have something this innovative come to us via legislation today really is quite remarkable. So I want to thank the people in this room, both in the audience and at the table, for their tireless dedication. Treasury, the White House, the industry, we have all worked hard together. And I pledge to you, we will continue to work hard together after today and before this bill hits the floor to address that maybe 1% of the remaining issues that didn't come to fruition before today, in spite of our round-the-clock negotiations. This is America's innovation of the 250th anniversary of our Constitution. There's been nothing like it in our history. This bill continues the legacy of America by ensuring innovation happens here on U.S. soil under clear pro-growth, pro-consumer guidelines. And I can't resist, Mr. Chairman, when I was listening to the ranking member, the risks of which she spoke exist now, right now, because there is no regulatory framework. There is no way now that this industry can protect the good actors, discover, vet, and punish the bad actors, and create a playing field with clear regulation, both at the SEC and the CFTC, that everyone can play under and continue to innovate. We can return this industry to the United States because the majority of it has already left for overseas because this legislation wasn't ready until today. Let me go through a couple of the things that we have done to strengthen and address some of the issues that have been raised. Regard to anti-money laundering and illicit finance, it creates risk-based exam standards. It expands Treasury's special measure authority to act swiftly against foreign money laundering. It creates studies on mixers and tumblers. It requires annual Treasury reports on foreign jurisdictions' compliance with U.S. AML CFT standards. It requires recurring Treasury reports on offshore stablecoins. It requires mandatory educational materials on digital asset risks, insider resale restrictions to prevent pump and dump schemes. It has timely disclosure requirements, broker deal insolvency disclosures, a federal regulatory floor for crypto kiosks. This is very important. This has been a problem in my state. Tokenized securities remain securities under SEC jurisdiction. FTC authority over unfair or deceptive practices. $30 million per year through 2031 for FinCEN. With regard to fraud and AML provisions, temporary holds for suspicious activities and preventing those who place the holds from having private causes of action. It applies BSA regulation to digital asset brokers, dealers, and exchanges. This list goes on and on. This is a pro-law enforcement bill. And it's also a pro-consumer bill. Consumers can now transmit money between them faster and cheaper than they can now. It provides a level playing field regardless of whether you live in Rwanda or Queens, New York, about transmitting money faster and cheaper. It provides a woman who's trying to get out of a battered, miserable marriage the opportunity to walk away with her money in her head. It provides people who are being tortured in foreign countries the opportunity to walk away from that country with their money in their head because Bitcoin can be memorized. This is an innovation that provides individual freedom, individual savings. It is faster, cheaper, it is secure, and we're inviting that consumer environment into our country under a very clearly articulated set of rules. And it's because of all the work that has gone into this by the people in this room. I absolutely pledge that I will work with you before this bill gets to the floor. We know those few remaining little items that we have to work on together. I trust you, and I want you to trust me to see this process through. Because we know when we work together that we can create a product that we can be proud of and the American people can be proud of. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Tillis.
Very quick, Mr. Chairman. Senator Lummis did a wonderful job. I just want to reinforce a couple of things. You know, quite honestly, when I heard the ranking member talk, I thought I'd teleported into a parallel universe where we were talking about a different bill that was being negotiated. This bill has all of the attributes that Senator Lummis discussed. That's why AARP has endorsed it. That's why law enforcement supports it, because the status quo, quite honestly, is unacceptable. Not to mention the competitive threat that we have for foreign jurisdictions just to take the money elsewhere, and then we're aiding and abetting and expanding the use of illicit finance through this tool. But I don't need to get into those merits or the merits of the bill anymore. I just want to thank Senator Alsobrooks. I want to thank Senator Gallego. I want to thank Senator Cortez Masto, who really opened my eyes to some of the prosecutorial issues that I, as a non-attorney, hadn't paid attention to. Senator Warner, Senator Warnock. Yeah, I've done a lot of bipartisan bills in my time in the Senate. And the only way this works is a bipartisan vote out of this committee to get all these things that are in this bill moving. But the Democrats have ball control. They control the motion to proceed. Like Senator Lummis, I'm committed to work in good faith, and I think I've proven that multiple times when it was tough for a Republican to lead something, and I'm going to do it again here. But let's get the momentum out of this committee. But finally, and I have to tell, I told Senator Alsobrooks this morning, what a joy it's been to work with her staff. And the one group here, we've talked about the stakeholders, we've talked about the folks from the White House, but we should all give our staff who have gotten here before us and left here after us for all of the hard work that they've done, and we owe them the respect of reporting this out on a bipartisan basis today. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Senator Reid, and this will be the last comment. Senator Warren has just helped me remember that some members have to go to other committees, and we should get to the amendments. Senator Reid, the floor is yours.
I'll be very brief, Mr. Chairman. I've heard both you and Senator Lummis speak eloquently about working together. I've been on this committee almost 30 years. The definition of working together at a markup is allowing amendments to be called up and voted upon. The vote determines where we go forward. And I've never witnessed anything like this in these 30 years. We're just arbitrarily eliminating amendments, telling people they can't bring them up or modify them to be brought up. And I'm willing to work together, but this is not an example of working together. Thank you.
I move to call up HR 3633, the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act of 2025, and ask unanimous consent that we dispense with the reading of all amendments. Senators will find printed copies in front of them, the text of which has already been made available. Is there an objection? Without objection, so ordered. I move to consideration of the manager's amendment, Scott Amendment number 1. It is an amendment, the nature of the substitute to HR 3633. I ask that Scott Amendment number 1, the substitute amendment, be adopted and considered as original text for purposes of further amendment. I ask that the amendment be adopted by voice vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
Ayes have it. The ayes have it, and the amendment is agreed to. I now call up Rounds 133. Senator Rounds, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My amendment, number 133, I have with co-sponsor Senators Kim and Warner, and I would thank them for their participation in this. This amendment would require financial regulatory agencies to establish AI innovation labs, or sandboxes. These will enable regulated financial institutions to experiment with AI test projects without expectation of enforcement action, taking a balanced approach that encourages both innovation and responsible adoption of AI. This amendment would create a venue, a sandbox for institutions to safety test and experiment with cutting-edge technologies while allowing regulators to learn about the tools that will transform financial services. It closely aligns with the purpose of the bill we are considering today, which is why I urge my colleagues to support this amendment. And I thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I would ask for a vote.
Right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to be recognized on this amendment.
Okay.
Is that all right?
60 seconds, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this amendment would establish a sandbox, as Senator Rounds says, for artificial intelligence products and services in the financial sector. Look, I appreciate my colleagues' interest in this issue, but boy, I am not ready to support this proposal. This is not the place to make decisions about AI regulation. The committee should hold hearings on the implications of AI. We should have a debate about the policy options. I am happy to work with my colleagues to see if there's a version of this amendment that we can support, but this provision is not there yet, and I don't think a track record of these sandboxes over the past decade in financial technology or fintech context should give us much confidence that actually turns out to have good results for the American people and that it ensures safe innovation for AI. So I think this is way too big for a little amendment like this and opens doors we should not be opening without a much fuller discussion and hearings. So I would urge my colleagues to vote no on rounds 133.
The clerk will call the roll.
Chairman?
Aye.
Mr. Crapo?
Aye.
Mr. Rounds?
Aye.
Mr. Tillis?
Aye.
Mr. Kennedy? Aye. Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's aye.
Ms. Lummis?
Aye.
Mrs. Britt?
Aye.
Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks? Mr. Kramer? Mr. Moreno? Mr. McCormick?
Aye.
Ms. Warren?
No.
Mr. Reed?
No.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
No by proxy.
Ms. Cortez Masto?
No.
Ms. Smith?
No.
Mr. Warnock?
No.
Mr. Kim?
Aye.
Mr. Gallego?
No.
Ms. Blunt Rochester?
No.
Ms. Also Brooks?
No.
The vote is 15 in favor and 9 opposed.
The amendment is agreed to. I now call up Warren number 74.
So let's talk about some of the people who will be hurt by a bill that supercharges the crypto industry without guardrails. People saving for retirement and people with pension plans. The current draft fails to address one of the biggest concerns that retirees face in this bill, the tokenization loophole. This country's biggest workers' unions and groups representing the largest pension funds have said that this is a catastrophic problem. Under this bill, companies could escape basic securities laws by raising money through tokens rather than traditional securities like stock, exposing Americans to a host of risks by removing necessary investor protections. The bill also kneecaps federal and state law enforcement authorities' ability to crack down on crypto fraud and scams. In other words, this bill sets up investors to be defrauded with no recourse. My amendment would require investment advisors and other entities in the financial system to develop and implement processes to protect investors from the heightened risk posed by crypto before recommending it to Americans looking to invest their hard-earned money. Every member of this committee should agree with this simple fix to protect our investors, and I urge my colleagues to support Warren Amendment 74.
Someone who wants to be recognized for rebuttal? Rebuttals are only 60 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment would single out digital assets for a special presumption of noncompliance and create unnecessary litigation risk. This amendment should not be adopted. It requires fiduciaries to implement special processes to protect clients from digital asset risks or be presumed to have violated their fiduciary duty. Current fiduciary standards already require intermediaries to act in their clients' best interests, making this amendment unnecessary.
The clerk will call the roll.
Chairman?
No.
Mr. Crapo?
No.
Mr. Rounds?
No.
Mr. Tillis?
No.
Mr. Kennedy?
No.
Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
Ms. Lummis?
No.
Mrs. Britt?
No.
Mr. Ricketts?
No.
Mr. Banks? Mr. Kramer?
No.
Mr. Moreno?
No.
Mr. McCormick?
No.
Ms. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
Aye by proxy.
Ms. Cortez Masto?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Warnock?
Aye.
Mr. Kim?
Aye.
Mr. Gallego?
Aye.
Ms. Blunt Rochester?
Aye.
Ms. Also Brooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
The amendment is not agreed to. We'll now go to Brit 14. Senator Britt, you are now recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to offer Brit number 14, my amendment regarding 403B savings accounts. This bill is bipartisan. It is very simple. It is widely supported. It allows employees of nonprofit organizations like public school teachers, ministers, nurses. It allows them the same access to the 401k retirement plans that most Americans can enjoy. CITs offer a wider investment vehicle along with lower fees and even higher returns, and this will allow them to participate in that. This levels the playing field so that more hardworking Americans can access more investment options and ultimately retire sooner. I want to thank Senator Warnock for leading this standalone bill with me and a number of my colleagues here on this committee, both Democrat and Republican, who have co-sponsored it. I am committed to finding a vehicle for this to move. I am also committed to making sure that the Clarity Act moves out today. So we will look for a different vehicle and will continue to build support. I withdraw my amendment, but look forward to working with the chair and the ranking member to actually get this done.
Thank you very much. And I'll call up Warren 64.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this bill that we're looking at fails to address foundational gaps on money laundering responsibilities for conventional crypto businesses and for DeFi services. And even for the very worst platforms, this bill fails to restore sanctions authority to isolate them. While we're at war, Iran is openly gearing up to collect crypto fees from oil tankers to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Terrorist groups, rogue states, foreign adversaries, and criminals are using crypto to evade our sanctions and launder their money. According to industry analysts, crypto crime jumped at least $154 billion last year, driven in large part by a 694% increase in crypto funds sent to sanctioned entities. Sanctioned entities are receiving these. Look, we need to fix the hole in our sanctions authority and crack down on crypto money laundering. In 2022, the United States sanctioned a notorious mixer called Tornado Cash that had been used to launder more than $7 billion for criminals and foreign adversaries, including more than $450 million for a North Korean hacking group. These types of crypto services are designed to make it easy to launder a huge pile of money and making it hard for anyone, including our law enforcement officials, to tell where the money came from. They are a favorite tool for hackers, for terrorist groups, and for sanctioned regimes. But a court said Treasury needed Congress, us, to act before it would be able to sanction the mixers like Tornado Cash. So this amendment is simple. It restores the authority to isolate and sanction decentralized crypto platforms that repeatedly facilitate transactions with terrorist organizations like ISIS or Al-Qaeda or with North Korea, Russia, or Iran. And I urge my colleagues to support this amendment.
Senator Lummis for a rebut.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The reason that's happening is because this bill is not law. When this bill becomes law, it includes robust provisions in Titles 2 and 3 to address illicit finance and sanctions. And it focuses these provisions where they'll be most effective. For example, it provides law enforcement with the tools they need to trace and disrupt money laundering and clarifies sanctions and anti-money laundering requirements for digital asset entities. We want to discourage the illegitimate use of digital assets while encouraging the legitimate use. And we have found that balance in this bill. This amendment is not necessary. I urge that we oppose the amendment.
Mr. Chairman.
Kennedy?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Senator Kennedy.
Do I have your permission to ask Senator Warren a quick question?
There he is.
15 seconds.
Yes, sir.
It'll take him that long to clear it.
Senator Warren, I don't understand why this bill doesn't already accomplish the very worthy goal that you've articulated.
Chairman, may I answer?
15 seconds.
It's the tornado problem. You remember the tornado, the mixer. Problem. What this amendment does is it says that the government can sanction and wall off a mixer like Tornado. What purpose does Tornado serve except to hide where the money came from and where the money's going to? And who needs to hide where the money came from and where the money's going to? It's the terrorists, it's the money launderers, it's Iran, it's the sanctioned entities. So all this is doing is it's saying, let's give the power, it doesn't actually isolate them in the bill. Let's give the power to government to say, when this is what you're doing, they can isolate you when you're dealing with these bad actors. You're mixing up the money so that you advance money laundering.
Senator Lummis, and then we'll move to the vote.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chairman. This bill provides for a study of the use of mixes and tumblers. They're a very complicated entity. Plus, provides $30 million to FinCEN, which does have the expertise to unravel mixes and tumblers and already has the tools it needs to enforce.
Yeah. Can I just say on that, yes, they have the expertise, but they don't have the legal authority. A court has said they need legal authority from Congress so that they will be able to isolate these mixers. Right now, they can't do that. So put your money in if you're a terrorist, go use Tornado, and know that there will be virtually no chance of being caught. And that this is how Iran can stay in the game and keep using its money. Right. This is how North Korea stays in. I'm sorry.
Certainly. Rebut, Senator Lummis. Bill solves that problem?
Yes, Title 2 and 3. And it's in illicit finance sanctions focus on providing law enforcement with the tools they need to trace and disrupt money laundering, including mixes and tumblers. Well,
Bitcoin at 81.
The law enforcement tools are also in this bill.
Clerk, call the roll. No.
Mr. Crapo?
No.
Mr. Rounds?
No.
Mr. Tillis?
No.
Mr. Kennedy?
No.
Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
Ms. Lummis?
Haggerty's
No.
Mrs. Britt?
No.
Mr. Ricketts?
No.
Mr. Banks?
No.
Mr. Kramer?
No.
Mr. Moreno?
No.
Mr. McCormick?
No.
Ms. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
Yes, by proxy.
Ms. Cortez Masto?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Warnock?
Aye.
Mr. Kim?
Aye.
Mr. Gallego?
Aye.
Ms. Blunt Rochester?
Aye.
Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
The amendment is not adopted. We now call up McCormick, 115. Senator McCormick, you are now recognized for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. They have the opportunity to introduce my amendment 115, co-sponsored with Senator Bill Haggerty. There's a long history of bipartisan support for the SEC and CFTC to provide for portfolio margining. Section 402 of the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act directs the SEC and the CFTC to jointly issue rules that enable portfolio margining across securities, swaps, futures, and digital commodity accounts held by registered dealers, FCMs, or brokers. This section is intended to allow natural risk offsets among positions to be recognized and would create greater efficiencies for investors to manage risk. However, for the portfolio margining to function properly, changes are necessary to ensure that customer protections under the Securities Investor Protection Act, SIPA, carry to CFTC-regulated products in the event that a broker-dealer becomes insolvent. This amendment I'm offering today gives the SEC and CFTC the flexibility to write rules relating to SIPA with consultation from SIPC and Treasury on expanded security portfolio margin accounts. Not only is this essential for customer protection during times of market stress, but the amendment also explicitly prohibits SIPC advances from covering digital commodities or swap positions which protect traditional securities customers. Digital assets are being folded into the fabric of the financial system. This amendment recognizes that reality, and its passage is important to every single market participant, the banks, crypto, and customers. This amendment is the result of working closely with both Treasury and SIPC and represents a bipartisan agreement with my Democratic colleagues. I would ask to be adopted by voice, but I'm open to a roll call vote, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman. Voice, if everybody.
I'd like to respond,
Certainly.
if I could. Thank you. Section 402 of this bill directs the CFTC and SEC to issue a joint rulemaking that will facilitate portfolio margining across a wide variety of categories of a lot of diverse instruments, including crypto. Now, as everyone here knows, portfolio margining allows calculation of margin requirements based on the overall portfolio rather than by individual position, and it has the effect of lowering margin requirements for trading. Lower margin requirements increase leverage and therefore increase risk in the system. Excessive leverage in our financial system has, time and time again, been a culprit in crashes that harm not just our financial markets, but spread to the real economy. The bill is set to unleash unregulated crypto upon our economy. It would also increase leverage across a range of different asset classes and regulatory regimes. I appreciate that Amendment 115 takes some steps toward protecting consumers from the havoc of this new regime, but it is not enough. The amendment further seems to remove SIPC protections from accounts with crypto, which highlights one of the real paradoxes in this bill. It pushes more of the market into crypto and removes protections for investors and removes recourse for victims. That is the wrong direction to go in.
All right.
When this blows up at the economy, I hope everybody remembers.
Mr. Chairman. Actually, we're out of time, actually.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with our 2 minutes, 1 minute as much as possible. Voice vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
I'd like to have a recorded vote on this. I think this one's going to matter in history.
Clerk will call the roll.
Chairman?
Aye.
She's so flustered. Mr. Crapo?
Aye.
Mr. Rounds?
Aye.
Mr. Tillis?
Aye.
Sorry.
Mr. Kennedy?
Banks are paying her wells.
Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's aye.
Ms. Lummis?
Aye.
Mrs. Britt?
Aye.
Mr. Ricketts? Aye. Mr. Banks?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Kramer?
Aye.
Mr. Moreno?
Aye.
Mr. McCormick?
Aye.
Ms. Warren?
No.
Mr. Reed? Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
No.
Ms. Cortez Masto?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
No.
Mr. Warnock?
Aye.
Mr. Kim?
No.
Mr. Geigo?
Aye.
Ms. Blunt Rochester?
No.
Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
Wow. The vote is 18 in favor and 6 opposed.
The amendment has been adopted. We now call up Orrin 52.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So when banks take excessive risks in pursuit of windfall profits, we know what happens next. The bets blow up, businesses on Main Street are shuttered, workers lose their jobs and retirement savings, families are thrown out of their homes, and the economy goes into recession. Oh, and then Wall Street comes to Congress and begs for bailouts and gets them. That's why our laws are supposed to keep the banks safe and sound, in part by limiting the kinds of assets that banks can own and the activities they can conduct. There are plenty of traditional assets that banks are prohibited from owning and traditional activities that banks are prohibited from conducting. This bill would throw out these sensible restrictions on crypto assets. For example, The bill allows banks to transact in the wild west of decentralized finance, where a platform seems to face a run, get hacked, or otherwise implode pretty much every week. The bill also allows banks to lend against crypto as collateral, to own crypto directly, to trade crypto derivatives, and more. The bill also repeals a key pillar of the Dodd-Frank Act for digital assets, known as the Volcker Rule. The bill allows bank holding companies to buy and sell digital assets for any investment or trading purpose, including the type of dangerous proprietary trading and hedge fund activities that helped cause the 2008 crash. Look, innocent businesses and families that have never even heard of the blockchain will suffer if the next crypto crash also causes a banking crash. My amendment would strike these dangerous provisions from the bill. I urge my colleagues to vote for Warren 52.
It's like a penny sitting in a bottle of $100 bills.
60 seconds.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are 3 states that already allow banks to do this.
It's
One
gonna
is
cause
Virginia,
the next banking
Wyoming,
crash.
Louisiana. And after this bill passes, other states will allow it to do it. The bank permissibility language in our legislation does one thing. It simply confirms that banks can use digital assets to conduct activities that they already allow to perform by law. The US dollar is going to be digitized. It is going to be a digital asset.
Facts.
And so we need to integrate all of these assets into the banks that are allowed to do them to continue to do them. There are no special carve-outs. This amendment would strike 3 key provisions of the bill related to bank permissibility, portfolio margining, and netting agreements. I urge my colleagues to oppose this amendment.
Clerk will call the roll.
Let's go.
The chairman?
Nope.
Mr. Crapo?
Nope.
Mr. Rounds?
Nope.
Mr. Tillis?
No.
Mr. Kennedy?
No.
Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
Ms. Lummis?
No.
Mrs. Britt?
No.
Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks?
No by proxy?
Mr. Kramer?
No.
Mr. Moreno?
No.
Mr. McCormick?
No.
Ms. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
Aye.
Ms. Cortez Masto?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Warnock?
Aye.
Mr. Kim?
Aye.
Mr. Gallego?
Aye.
Ms. Blunt Rochester?
Aye.
Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
The amendment is not agreed to. We now call up Warren 66.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Jeffrey Epstein was an early backer of crypto. He poured millions of dollars into Coinbase, one of the biggest benefactors of this bill, if it becomes law. And that's no surprise. Epstein recognized crypto's potential as a tool to covertly facilitate illicit payments. But as the crypto ecosystem was new and just developing, Wall Street banks were happy to provide the financial services that Epstein needed to facilitate his crimes. You might think that big banks would have severed their ties with Epstein following his 2008 conviction for soliciting a child for sex, and you would be wrong. For more than a decade, banks like JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank, and Bank of America generated massive fees off of Epstein's business while ignoring very obvious red flags. It wasn't until Epstein was arrested once again in 2019 that JP Morgan finally disclosed more than 4,700 transactions made between 1998 and 2013, totaling more than $1 billion, including payments to Russian banks and young women. I have called on President Trump's bank regulators to use their authorities to investigate the bank executives that helped facilitate Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and to turn over any information they have gathered over the years to Congress. And so far, they haven't lifted a finger. This amendment would require the federal banking regulators to publish any bank examination records related to Epstein and his co-conspirators. What did the banks know, and when did they know it? Did bank regulators spot anything that should have set off alarms? Answers to those questions may be buried in the banking regulators' confidential supervisory records. Some sunlight might help prevent Wall Street and crypto companies from funding the next Jeffrey Epstein. I urge my colleagues to support Warren 66.
Mr. Chairman, confidential supervisory information is not germane to digital asset market structure. The Epstein files have nothing to do with this bill. I urge my colleagues to oppose the amendment.
Clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
The point of order?
Sure. I just wanted to ask Senator Warren, how are you defining co-conspirators?
This is exactly what we want to find out. When you don't have the information, you don't know. But what we do know is that Jeffrey Epstein was using crypto early on, that he was involved in illicit financial transactions, that three of the largest financial institutions...
I'm sorry, I get that. But you say the regulators have to release stuff about Epstein and his co-conspirators. How are they going to know who his co-conspirators are?
Well, they have already been named in court documents. One is identified is Ghislaine Maxwell as an identified, convicted co-conspirator. And I think her record should be released as well.
I look forward to you all continuing this conversation after the hearing. Clerk will call the roll. No.
Mr. Crapo?
No.
Mr. Rounds?
No.
Mr. Tillis? Mr. Kennedy? Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
Ms. Lummis?
No.
Mrs. Britt?
No.
Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks?
No by proxy.
Mr. Kramer?
No.
Mr. Moreno?
No.
Mr. McCormick?
No.
Ms. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
Aye.
Ms. Cortez Masto?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Warnock?
Aye.
Mr. Kim?
Aye.
Mr. Gallego?
Aye.
Ms. Blunt Rochester?
Aye.
Ms. Also Brooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
The amendment is not agreed to. We will now move to...
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to get in trouble again, I know,
sir.
but I've got another point of order. I would consider voting for this amendment if you think about taking out co-conspirators.
I'd be glad to amend it. Yes, the author of the amendment accepts the proposed change.
Mr. Chair, point of order, the vote's been held, the amendment's been disposed of. That would require an additional amendment at this time.
The amendment is not agreed to. We will now move to call up Reed number 90.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My amendment allows the government to block foreign illicit transactions that occur using stable coins as if they were dollars in a bank. This will primarily crack down on Iran's use of stable coins to fund their nuclear program, support terrorist proxies, and engage with our forces at the present time. According to blockchain analytics firm TRM Labs, Iran continues to use cryptocurrency to source sensitive goods. Chinese chip resellers have shown the willingness and capability to supply drone components, electrical equipment, AI critical hardware, etc. And these unmanned systems, these drones, are what is wreaking havoc on our forces and our allies in the Persian Gulf today. We've lost 14 Americans and hundreds wounded, and the money can be traced back, much of it, to stablecoins. Now, Iran is also accepting tolls in stablecoins at the Strait of Hormuz, and they're making money on that too. Now, Treasury cannot shut down this operation. Excuse me.
My favorite team lost last night.
They have to go hat in
Damn
hand to
stable
Tether
coins.
and say, please, Tether, would you voluntarily stop doing this. We need structures. Everyone stands around here and talks about how much they support the troops. If you really support the troops, cut off the funding for the Marines.
Rebuttal?
I didn't get a raise.
Senator Haggerty, please.
Mr. Chairman, the bill that we're voting on today already includes dedicated illicit finance and sanctions provisions for digital assets. Title II and Title III address anti-money laundering, sanctions compliance, information sharing, digital asset kiosks, DeFi risk controls, and other illicit financing risks. The amendment creates a broad extraterritorial rule for dollar-denominated stablecoins. I'm concerned that actually could undermine responsible use of stablecoins abroad. So I'm going to urge my colleagues to oppose Senator Reed's amendment.
Mr. President?
Clerk will call the roll.
Chairman?
No.
Mr. Crapo?
No by proxy.
Mr. Rounds?
No.
Mr. Tillis? No. Mr. Kennedy? No. Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
Ms. Lummis? No. Mrs. Britt?
No.
Mr. Ricketts?
No.
Mr. Banks?
No.
Mr. Kramer?
No.
Mr. Moreno?
No.
Mr. McCormick?
No.
Ms. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
Aye.
Ms. Cortez Masto? Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Warnock?
Aye.
Mr. Kim? Mr. Gallego? Ms. Blunt Rochester? Ms. Also Brooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
The amendment is not agreed to. We will now move to Reed, number 100. Senator?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My amendment number 100 attempts to do what I tried to do in the Genius Act, which was to make the U.S. dollar the official currency of the United States of America, and it cannot be replaced by alternatives as legal tender. I was struck when Senator Loomis said that the dollar will be digitized, and I think that's the plan of many people. And if it is digitized, the dollar will no longer be controlled by the Federal Reserve. It'll be controlled by companies like World Financial. And that I don't think is a good development for the United States, our economy, or the world. And my amendment would also ensure that the dollar cannot be supplanted by currencies like the Chinese yuan and others. So I think we've got to move and make this very clear. Everyone will nod and say, of course, the dollar is always going to be the currency of the United States. As I said, as I've heard today, the dollar will be digitized. And if we don't recognize that, prepare for it, a shame on us. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
All right, bud.
Rebuttal?
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Moreno?
this amendment's outside the scope of the bill before us. The Clarity Act is a market structure bill. It does not make crypto legal tender. It does not require any state to accept crypto for taxes. It does not disturb the status of the United States dollar as legal tender. This amendment tries to resolve a broader issue that is not necessary to the framework we are considering today. We should keep the focus on building a workable regulatory structure for digital assets, not add unrelated legal tender language. And on a personal note, in 2016, I became the first person in the United States of America to pay my taxes with Bitcoin to show the capabilities of the technology. Had I met the senator from Rhode Island, I would not have done that, as I paid $3,000 in taxes with 2 Bitcoin. So I would absolutely be in a better spot had I not done that. So we should have met each other back then.
Well, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
You have about 9 seconds.
9 seconds. I just repeat again what Senator Loomis said. Dollars will be digitized. If we don't make it clear that digital currencies can and may supplant the dollar, we'll be in very difficult economic positions.
We will move on. I do want to make a note that the $3,000 that you used for the Bitcoin would today be worth how much?
Too soon.
Okay, thank you.
Too soon.
Just wanted to make sure that point was clear. The clerk will call the roll.
The chairman?
No.
Mr. Crapo?
No.
Mr. Rounds? No. Mr. Tillis?
No.
Mr. Kennedy?
Warren is not happy with Reed. She's like talking to him basically like
Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's
the
no.
bag.
Ms. Lummis? No. Mrs. Britt? No. Mr. Ricketts? No. Mr. Banks? No. Mr. Kramer?
No.
Mr. Moreno?
No.
Mr. McCormick?
No.
Ms. Warren?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
Aye.
Ms. Cortez Masto?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Warnock?
Aye.
Mr. Kim? Mr. Gallego?
Aye.
Ms. Blunt Rochester?
Aye.
Ms. Also Brooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
Thank you. The amendment is not adopted. We will now call up Warner 131, but to answer the question of Senator Moreno, the answer is $161,774. What a waste.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to start by thanking you and your staff.
Yes, sir.
We have worked through thousands of hours. I want to particularly thank Senator Lummis. I can't think of a piece of legislation that I've spent more time on. I voted for Genius because I thought we needed a stable coin basis in this country. And I think we need a market structure bill for this country as well. And I will look forward to continuing to work on this past committee. Now, I also, though, want to take a moment to acknowledge, I think, a continued good faith from the chairman and Senator Lummis. There are a series of bipartisan amendments that we worked on this morning that you've accepted. So I, again, absolutely trust that we can get this done. My amendment, and I just, particularly for my friends sitting in the audience, reflects the language that my Republican colleagues and the White House accepted on DeFi. Now, we have worked dramatically since that time, hearing some of the industry's concerns. We've made over 40 changes, and most of that will be included, I think, in Senator Lummis's amendments. I still think there are some issues to work through, particularly to make sure that law enforcement has the tools it needs to make sure bad actors can't find a way to work around this framework. Make sure senior government officials can't use these tools to enrich themselves. I'm committed to working to get a bill that moves this bill forward on the floor. I guess I've often said I've been in crypto hell the last couple of months. I hope to get to crypto heaven. I guess I'm right now in crypto purgatory, but I'm looking forward to getting all the way there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I withdraw my amendment.
Thank you. I'll now call up, actually before I do so, we are around 11:45, which means that we're about 17 minutes away from the 2-hour window and would need permission to continue beyond that.
We are glad to continue beyond that.
Great, thank you. I will now call up Senator Van Hollen's number 33.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last year, the volume of digital assets involved in illicit activities blew through all previous records. By one estimate, $154 billion was sent to illicit crypto wallets, up from $59 billion in 2024. Decentralized finance, DeFi services play an important role in this illicit ecosystem. I think we all know that. Bad actors use tools like tumblers and mixers to launder money, evade law enforcement, and move funds. Just look at what North Korean hackers did last year. They hacked $1.5 billion from the crypto exchange Bybit, and then used DeFi services and exchanges to switch between crypto tokens to launder funds and evade investigators. These are funds that can now help support the North Korean nuclear program or other illicit activities. Or look at Iran. Iranian actors have been documented using DeFi exchanges and techniques to launder funds and evade sanctions. In some cases, it's clear that these DeFi tools are created because their developers plan to profit from illicit activity. They know that bad actors will exploit these tools. In fact, that's the whole point for some of them. And so we need to hold them accountable. Addressing the illicit finance risk in DeFi overall is not straightforward. We know that. But this amendment is straightforward. and it's limited and simple. It would simply make it unlawful to release a DeFi protocol for the express purpose of enabling money laundering, sanctions, evasion, and financing of terrorism. That's what it does. There should be consequences if you set out to enable drug traffickers, scammers, North Korea or Iran, and I hope my colleagues will agree with that premise and support this amendment.
Rebuttal?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. In this bill, we've tried to use existing statutes and embed digital assets under them, whether it's the SEC, the CFTC, or criminal penalties. So the same conduct that the gentleman is trying to address is already chargeable today under 18 USC 1956 and 1957 and existing sanctions laws. So if somebody builds or uses software to launder criminal proceeds or evade sanctions, prosecutors can already bring cases under these statutes without needing a specific DeFi add-on. So if you carve out one thing for specific treatment, it sends a signal that DeFi software is not welcome in this country, and we don't want to send that signal. We want to use the existing strictures and embed digital assets in the U.S. So for that reason, I oppose the amendment.
Clerk will call the roll.
Chairman?
No.
Mr. Crapo?
No.
Mr. Rounds?
No.
Mr. Tillis?
No.
Mr. Kennedy?
No by proxy.
Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
Ms. Lummis? No. Mrs. Britt? No. Mr. Ricketts? No. Mr. Banks? No. Mr. Kramer?
No.
Mr. Moreno? Mr. McCormick?
No.
Ms. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
Aye.
Ms. Cortez Masto?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Warnock?
Aye.
Mr. Kim? Mr. Gallego? Ms. Blunt Rochester?
Aye.
Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
The amendment is not agreed to. We will now move to Van Hollen, number 35. Senator Van Hollen.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment is straightforward. It's designed to prevent conflict of interests and self-dealing by the president or members of the House or the Senate. It also requires greater transparency. We have all seen the president and members of his family involved in corrupt crypto ventures and various crypto scams. Through World Liberty Financial, the Trump family has raked in billions in profits, much of it obtained through corrupt deals with members of the UAE royal family. In fact, we've heard testimony from witnesses before this committee about that. And the Trump and Melania meme coins have allowed Trump to rake in hundreds of millions, if not more, in cash, even as investors lost $4.3 billion. The way that scam works is that whether retail investors win or lose, Trump is like the house at the casino. He always wins. And what this amendment does is very simple. We're letting the American public know, we're letting the people know that we're not going to allow self-dealing by the president or members of the House and Senate and others who have direct control and influence over these operations, as witnessed by the fact that we're marking up this bill. So the people involved directly in making these policies, from the president to the Congress, should not be able to be issuers of these particular assets and coins. So that's what the amendment does, Mr. Chairman, and I ask for the yeas and nays.
Rebuttal?
Mr. Chairman?
Senator Moreno?
This is the Banking Committee, not the Judiciary Committee. The inclusion of a criminal penalty and references the Attorney General make this amendment not germane to this committee. It's out of order. I urge my colleagues to vote no. And I would also just say that as a lawyer, you should, if anybody, respect the fact that people are innocent in this country to proven guilty. You're making conclusive comments about a person who's a good man who serves this nation, and to say with no knowledge that he is committing a crime is a disgrace. We can have political conversations about policies. We don't have to turn everything into ad hominem attacks against the President of the United States.
Clerk will call the roll.
Well, the chairman, allow me just to respond briefly, because I was clear, Senator, that the deal with World Liberty Financial has all the markings of a corrupt deal. As you know, the president decided to relieve some of the restrictions the United States had placed on chips and AI to the royal family just after those transactions occurred, and he departed for his trip. And of course, there was the transaction even before the inauguration that Sheikh Tahnoon made in World Liberty Financial.
Let me just reinforce the point that Senator Moreno made. Our country still affords the individual the presumption of innocence. And while we can continue the process of making allegations, I do think Senator Moreno's point is spot on. And I rarely do I speak out when you two are having a conversation or any other ones. I do think we should be very careful in this context. But let us move to the vote.
Okay.
Thank you,
Chairman. Of course, this amendment doesn't pass judgment on this issue. This just says the president, no matter who he is, or members of Congress.
Your comments did, not the amendment itself.
I used the word corrupt.
Call the roll.
Difference.
Call the roll.
The gentleman knows.
The chairman?
No.
Mr. Crapo?
No.
Mr. Rounds?
No.
Mr. Tillis?
Yeah.
Mr. Kennedy? Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
Ms. Lummis?
No.
Mrs. Britt?
No.
Mr. Ricketts?
No.
Mr. Banks? No. Mr. Kramer?
No.
Mr. Moreno?
No.
Mr. McCormick?
No.
Ms. Warren?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
Aye.
Ms. Cortez Masto? Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Warnock?
Aye.
Mr. Kim? Mr. Gallego? Ms. Blunt Rochester?
Aye.
Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
The amendment is not agreed to, so we will now move to Cortez Masto, number 22.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me start off by saying, similar to some of my colleagues, thank you for working together. I think we have come so far on a number of provisions in a bipartisan way, and I appreciate that. I also want to continue working with my colleagues. Senator Lummis, you've been great to work with. Thank you. And I look forward to continuing to work with you to move forward. Let me just say a couple of things. I am concerned that right now the Clarity Act would make it more difficult for law enforcement to capture criminals who use DeFi to move their illicit proceeds. In response to the work that we have been doing together on the sections, including this amendment, I have received letters from law enforcement opposing portions like this of the Clarity Act. There's 2 letters from the National Association of Assistant U.S. Attorneys who do the prosecution of that illicit activity, 2 letters from the National District Attorneys Association, 2 letters from the National Sheriff's Association, a letter from the Fraternal Order of Police, and a letter from the Major County Sheriffs of America, International Association of Chiefs of Police, Association of State Criminal Investigative Agencies, and the National Association of Police Organizations. I'd actually submit these for the record. Thank you. And the reason why is my goal has been to find common ground, because I think we have agreed that a true non-controlling developer or software provider shouldn't be subject because they're not involved in any of this activity. The concern that many of us have, including in law enforcement, was that the definition was too broad. And the bad guys are going to jump into that definition. And the bad guys we're talking about are the ones that I think Senator Kennedy, I'm sorry he's not here, was asking questions about. Those mixers and those tumblers, they are carved out of these sections. And so the goal would be to make sure that we are letting the good players still be able to innovate, and those non-controlling developers, let them do their thing, but not taking away the tools from law enforcement to be able to prosecute those individuals that pose a really kind of a public safety, national security threat. And I'm talking about folks like foreign states like South Korea and others. Excuse me. I was paying attention to the chairman. I'm trying to move very quickly now, but let me finish this. For North Korea, Iran, and others that are using this terrorist activity that unfortunately are opposed to what we are doing here in the United States, protecting our communities. So I support the crypto regulation. I voted for Genius last year. I'm ready to continue to work on this bill, but we need language to stop and punish those bad actors and give the prosecutors the tools they need to be able to do just that.
Rebuttal.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Moreno.
First of all, to my colleague from Nevada, thank you for your hard work on all this, and I think you're absolutely working in good faith to try to get to a resolution. I agree with the sentiment of what you're saying. But this amendment would strike critical protections for non-controlling blockchain developers contained in Section 301. What makes this amendment particularly troubling is that Section 301 is specifically drafted to distinguish between so-called decentralized finance protocols that are decentralized in name only. We actually came up with a name that Republicans don't always love, being called rhinos. We call this one dinos. And protocols that are genuinely decentralized and not operated by centralized intermediaries behind the scenes. If this legislation already recognizes that distinction and applies appropriate regulatory standards to actors who retain control over a protocol, it makes little sense to simultaneously eliminate protections for developers of truly decentralized systems that lack a controlling intermediary. In practice, this amendment would introduce regulatory uncertainty. I could go on, but here's what I would say. What Senator Lummis said earlier, let's work together to figure out a way to get a landing spot where you're comfortable, we support law enforcement, and we make certain that there's accountability in this. But for this amendment, I urge my colleagues to vote no.
Clerk will call the roll.
Chairman?
Nope.
Mr. Crabo?
No.
Mr. Rounds?
No.
Mr. Tillis?
No.
Mr. Kennedy?
No by proxy.
Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
Ms. Lummis? Mrs. Britt? Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks? Mr. Kramer?
No.
Mr. Moreno? Mr. McCormick?
No by proxy.
Ms. Warren?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
Aye.
Ms. Cortez Masto? Ms. Smith? Mr. Warnock? Mr. Kim? Mr. Gallego? Ms. Blunt Rochester? Ms. Also Brooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
The amendment is not agreed to. We will now move to call up Smith number 119. Senator Smith, you're now recognized, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to offer my amendment, Smith number 119. So this amendment would incorporate Senator Durbin's No Bailout for Crypto Act, which I joined him in introducing last year. We can all agree, I think, that crypto assets are incredibly volatile, and a single tweet can cause prices to fluctuate wildly. Bitcoin, for example, lost nearly a third of its value since hitting an all-time high just in October. Ethereum's value has more than halved since its peak, and these are just two of the most dominant assets in the crypto market. Nearly $2 trillion worth of crypto asset value was lost in the crypto crash of 2022. And I'm quite concerned, Mr. Chair, in its current form, that this bill that we're considering today all but ensures that the next crash is even bigger than that. So what this amendment does is simply to prohibit federal agencies from bailing out the digital asset industry, preventing U.S. taxpayers from being on the hook if that happens, when that happens. I want to just thank Senator Durbin for his leadership on this issue, and I urge my colleagues to support this amendment.
Senator Lummis for rebuttal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Clarity Act does not authorize a bailout of the digital asset industry. It creates rules for the digital asset markets. It doesn't create a rescue fund, a guarantee, or a taxpayer backstop. The amendment's unnecessary and it distracts from the purpose of the bill. We should be focused on building a clear regulatory framework, not suggesting that this bill authorizes something it does not.
Mr. Chair, this amendment, I would just say, does not suggest, it only is a preventative measure. It protects the taxpayers from future decisions to bail out the crypto industry.
Clerk will call the roll. Nope.
Mr. Crapo?
Nope.
Mr. Rounds?
No.
Mr. Tillis? Mr. Kennedy?
No.
Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
Ms. Lummis?
No.
Mrs. Britt?
No by proxy?
Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks? Mr. Kramer? Mr. Moreno? Mr. McCormick?
No.
Ms. Warren?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen? Aye. Ms. Cortez Masto? Aye. Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Warnock?
Aye.
Mr. Kim? Aye. Mr. Geigo? Aye. Ms. Blunt Rochester? Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
Mr. Chairman, I asked to be recorded as present.
Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
a no.
I don't know.
Thank you. The amendment is not agreed to. We will now call up Warnock 121.
Mr. Chairman, I intend to call up Amendment Warnock 121. Thank you. My amendment further strengthens this bill's consumer and investor protections. We made great progress over the past several months of negotiation, and I would like to thank Senator Lummis and Chair Scott for working with me on compromise provisions to ensure all consumers and investors are protected from fraud in digital assets. I regret that those compromises are not fully reflected in the text of today's bill, but I'm hopeful that we can continue to work together on this, especially since the Ag Committee's partisan half of this bill is so weak on consumer protection, and frankly, it's a non-starter for Democrats on the floor. But I do want to echo what my colleague, Senator Van Hollen, and others have said. The president's self-dealing with digital assets is pure corruption, and everyone in this room knows that. Whether his dealings are illegal is a matter of legislation, and that's the work we're engaged in. But there's no doubt that this is pure corruption, and the majority has refused to agree to enforceable guardrails around all elected officials, all of us, including the president and the vice president, to prevent them from profiting from crypto while they're supposed to be serving the public. The public deserves to know that we're working for them and not for ourselves. And the president's insistence on being engaged in the way that he's engaged in this whole industry has cast a dark pall on the whole process. And so he should decide whether he wants to get this done or whether he wants to continue to enrich his family. Democrats have made it clear since the beginning of this process that we will not accept a crypto bill that allows the president's crypto corruption to continue. We all agree the digital assets industry needs regulatory clarity, but I cannot support this bill in its current form and will be voting no this morning. I look forward to continuing to work in a bipartisan manner with all of you on a bill that has strong ethical standards with strong consumer and investor protections. And it is in that spirit of good faith compromise that I withdraw my amendment, and I will not seek a vote. Thank you, Mr. Chair, or Reverend Dr. Chair. I withdraw my amendment.
Thank you, Senator Dr. Reverend. I will now call up Kim, number 24.
Thank you, Chairman. I believe in innovation in financial services, want to harness the opportunity of emerging technologies, and that's why I did support the Genius Act last year. And I believe that this innovation can be achieved while also working to stop cartels, state sponsors of terrorism, foreign terrorist organizations from exploiting the technology. I worked for years on countering terrorist financing before I came into Congress, and I saw how we can find these types of important balances. And I heard from industry leaders how they don't want their products and tools to be used by terrorist groups, and they don't also said that a one-size-fits-all regulation is not the answer. They also said that frameworks of the past may not be fully applicable to the emergent technologies of tomorrow. To those points, I agree, which is why I'm offering this amendment to modernize the Bank Secrecy Act by adding a new category of financial institutions that would allow us to go after cartels, state sponsors of terrorism, and foreign terrorist organizations that are trying to take advantage of the emerging technologies. At the same time, my amendment preserves innovation and growth for true DeFi, because I know that a one-size-fits-all framework does not work. I support DeFi technology, entrepreneurs, and developers, and I believe that innovation can grow without allowing terrorist resources to grow. So let's meet the moment with a common sense update to the BSA while continuing to encourage innovation in the industries here in the United States. I urge my colleagues to vote yes on this amendment. And with that, I'll yield back.
Thank you. Senator Lemus.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, thank you. This amendment's not needed because the bill in Title II already includes a section that accomplishes just what this amendment contemplates. It directs FinCEN and the CFTC to apply the Bank Secrecy Act to digital commodity brokers, dealers, and exchanges, and it does it in a very precise manner. So I encourage the proponent to check out Title II and also look at Titles 2 and 3 on money laundering and illicit finance. This bill, our bill, I think references the BSA 16 times, and if I counted correctly, and I don't think there's a single reference to BSA in the House passed bill. So we're really tying BSA into our bill. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Clerk will call the roll.
The chairman?
No.
Mr. Crapo? No. Mr. Rounds? No. Mr. Tillis? Mr. Kennedy? Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
Ms. Lummis?
No.
Mrs. Britt?
No.
Mr. Ricketts? No. Mr. Banks?
No.
Mr. Kramer?
No.
Mr. Moreno?
No.
Mr. McCormick?
No.
Ms. Warren?
Aye.
Mr. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
Aye.
Ms. Cortez Masto?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Warnock?
Aye.
Mr. Kim?
Aye.
Mr. Gallego?
Aye.
Ms. Blunt-Rochester?
Aye.
Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
The amendment is not agreed to. We will now call up Gallego number 18.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Ranking Member, and thank you for the whole markup. This has been, to say the least, a very long and difficult process. And it's been great, though, working with Senator Lummis, Senator Tillis. Okay, time working with Moreno. To be honest. But we really have spent the better time of last year in countless meetings, long nights, and working through holidays. And really, at its best, the Senate learns together, finds common ground, and legislates. This is what this process demanded of us, and it's not an easy bill, as we all know, and it's exactly what we try to do. And after working on Genius Act, and we all remember that ordeal, we all learned that solving issues on the front end makes for better legislation. And we take that seriously here, and for very, very good reason. What Congress is attempting to do here is creating regulations for an entirely new sector of our financial system, and it is a massive undertaking. 67 million Americans own digital assets. We owe it to these people, many of whom are young and simply trying to achieve financial independence, to get this right. With 1 in 4 Americans now invested in digital assets, we cannot afford to wait, but we also cannot afford to get this wrong. And that's the balance we are trying to strike. Through serious bipartisan negotiations, we have made incredible progress on this bill. We have narrowed the gap on many of the outstanding issues. We did serious bipartisan work on genuinely difficult questions about regulatory jurisdiction, consumer disclosure requirements, crypto ATMs, and to name a few. I want to be clear that my vote here does not guarantee a vote on the floor. After today, we need to connect with our Agricultural Committee colleagues and collapse negotiations into one and all sit at the table. And perhaps the toughest issue of all, we have come close, but have not finished, an agreement on ethics guardrail. for elected officials, all elected officials. We need real enforceable standards for what it is and is not acceptable for someone who holds the public trust and shouldn't be able to profit off an industry that they enforce or regulate. But we will continue to work. I am looking forward to continue working. Mr. Tillis and Ranking Member Chairwoman Lummis and I have talked about this, how we're going to continue working. And I hope to see that we don't have any more backsliding and can move forward and hopefully finish this. So I withdraw my Gallego amendment number 18, and we'll in committee vote yes. But if this is not resolved by the time of the floor, like I have in the past, I am not afraid to vote no. Look forward to working together and hopefully come to a solution. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We will now move. Senator Brooks has decided to offer Senator Warren's the space that she had for number 7. We will now hear from Senator Warren on amendment number 79. Senator Warren, you are now recognized.
Thank you. So the Trump administration has spent the past year trying every trick in the book to kill the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the agency that has returned more than $21 billion directly to consumers who've been cheated by banks and giant corporations. Acting Director Vogt has dropped virtually all of the consumer agency's ongoing enforcement actions against crooks and other bad actors. He's tried to lay off almost all of its staff, and he's tried to drain its funding. People have fought back, and a federal court has prevented Trump and Vogt from fully shutting down the agency. But at the same time that Congress is debating this bill, which would dramatically expand the risk of fraud in consumer and crypto markets, the administration is busy trying to fire the cops responsible for protecting consumers. Now remember, the CFPB is the agency responsible for fighting to cap abusive overdraft fees and late fees, to strike down medical debt from consumers' credit reports, to protect service members from being charged illegal interest rates on loans, to stop families from being put out on the street with an illegal foreclosure. The CFPB is going to be more important than ever if we pass a bill unleashing new crypto scams. My amendment would ensure that the CFPB receives a consistent funding stream that is insulated from the kinds of political games the Trump administration has been playing to undermine consumer financial protection in this country. I urge my colleagues to support Warren 79.
Senator Moreno for rebuttal.
This amendment should not be adopted for one simple reason. The CFPB's budget is clearly out of the scope of this bill. It's absolutely not germane. We voted on quite a few attempted Congressional Review Acts yesterday, and those were all voted down, and I urge my colleagues to do the same with this amendment.
May I have my last 15 seconds that I didn't use?
Sure.
And my 15 seconds are the CFPB was created right here in this committee because of fraud. If we are creating a new opportunity for expanded fraud, we need to make sure that the CFPB is fully funded.
The clerk will call the roll.
And I still have 3 seconds.
My goodness.
Chairman?
No.
Mr. Crapo?
No.
Mr. Rounds?
No.
Mr. Tillis?
No.
Mr. Kennedy? No. Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's no.
Ms. Lummis?
No.
Mrs. Britt? Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks? Mr. Kramer? Mr. Moreno? Mr. McCormick?
No.
Ms. Warren?
Aye. Sorry. I was
Mr. Reed?
dazzled by the chairman's comments. It's true. But yay by proxy. I'm still dazzled.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
Aye.
Ms. Cortez Masto?
Oh, aye by proxy.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Warnock?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Kim?
Aye.
Mr. Gallego? Ms. Blunt Rochester? Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 11 in favor and 13 opposed.
I'm going to object if you change your release.
That's okay. Yeah. About an hour ago, I received a request from a couple of Democrat members to add 5 amendments to make this a bipartisan outcome, and I have decided to do so.
So, Mr. Chairman, I object here. You cut 16 amendments from the members of this committee. We agreed, you said, no, we got to our numbers and said, these are our numbers. And now, all of a sudden, you have decided to rule back in 3 amendments, I take it from Senator Lummis, that you originally ruled out because it will be more convenient because somebody gets a vote. You just said, as we started this, the rules are the rules, and that you're not going to pick and choose and say, oh, this is going to help that one along, or it's going to help that one along, that you were going to apply the rules across the board. I came in here with one set of rules and understood that that was the case. So if you're now going to rule arbitrarily that you've picked 3 out of the basket to add back in, 3 Republican amendments to add back in, then I think you should rule that all of the amendments are back in. We'd like all of the Democratic amendments back in. And I am particularly looking at Cortez Masto, number 16. This is an amendment that was requested by the National Sheriff's Association. It would close a massive loophole in the current bill that would make it, right now the current bill makes it harder for law enforcement to go after cartels and criminals that are using decentralized platforms to launder money. Or how about we do Reed-Smith, number 95, for example. That's the amendment that would prevent deposit flight from community banks, which Republicans are clearly afraid to vote on. So it seems to me, Mr. Chairman, following the rules you announced at the beginning, either we know all the amendments when we walk in and that's the end of it, or if you're going to start opening that up, let's open it up to everyone, not just 3 amendments on the Republican side.
Actually, the amendment that we just voted on, number 79, was not agreed to as well. We substituted it based on the request of Alsobrooks to allow you to have that amendment, and I did so. And as you said at the beginning of this hearing, that I have the right as the chairman to pick and choose which amendments we wanted, and based on a bipartisan, which I'm not choosing between Republicans and Democrats, I'm actually choosing for Republicans and Democrats to have these final amendments in order.
You know, with respect, Mr. Chairman, you didn't say to me that if Alsobrooks wanted to yield her spot over for me to add another amendment, the consequence would be that Lummis would suddenly get 3 amendments that had been ruled that they would not be held and they would be out of order? I just don't understand this process.
This is a Wikipedia definition of no good deed goes unpunished. These were bipartisan bills. So, Mr. Chair, maybe instead of considering them here today with the ranking member's objections, can we just get an agreement that they'd be baked into a manager's amendment on the floor?
Yes.
No.
Good. Okay.
I think,
Point of order, yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman,
Last comment on the left. We'll go to closing remarks. Yes.
I would actually prefer, because of the good faith that Senator Lummis has shown, and and I intend to work more on this bill, but I would hope this would move me much closer if these amendments are not put off till the floor.
Then I clearly withdraw my comment.
Yeah, point of order, Mr. Chair, just so I have clarification.
Certainly.
Because if you had included my number 16, I wouldn't be asking this question. But now I'm trying to understand. Originally, 16 was not allowed because it was ineligible based on a Scrivener's error. So were these others. But now, at the chairman's call and discretion, those are going to be allowed in, but this one not because it's still a Scrivener's error? I'm confused.
Yeah, no,
or is it just, and listen, I respect it, it's your call.
Yes.
If it's just that you want to let some in and some not, that's fine too. I respect that. I'm just trying to understand as we move forward.
Certainly, there's no doubt that this could be confusing to folks looking on. It's a simple, actual answer. We have an opportunity to do what I think is in America's best interest, is to show that when possible, both sides can find a path forward. And in my opinion, finding that path forward requires me to allow Lummis's amendments in, because that was a request of Democrat members in order to get to a bipartisan coalition and solution. And so I have made the decision that treating both sides fairly requires me to listen to both sides. And now that there are both sides coming to the table, both asking me to make a decision to allow amendments in, it's incumbent upon me to make the right decision. In my opinion, making the right decision is to allow these amendments in. So we can either do it the way that Tillis has recommended, or we can do it the way that Warner recommended, but at the end of the day.
But let me suggest, obviously, the Democrats have not agreed to this. There may be a Democrat, there may be 3 Democrats who've agreed to this. But the Democrats have not agreed to this. Let me ask the question the other way around, because I know you always want to be fair.
Yes.
You guys have the majority. You voted out every single thing that the Democrats have tried to put in. What is the harm to letting us vote 2 more amendments that we wanted to vote, one that is supported by law enforcement, and one that is supported by community banks? We're not here to try to make this a longer process. You still have all the votes. You can keep them out. But we'd at least like to have an opportunity to vote on these 2 amendments. And then, still an unusual process, but I would call it, you are trying to be fair here. Otherwise, you've just said, I'm going to pick the people who I think are going to put together the deal that is the deal you like. It's not the deal I like. And so either we get the same kind of parity, we get the same kind of courtesy afforded each other. We're just asking for 2 amendments. You're getting 3 here. And
Excellent.
Let us vote on those 2. I don't know what the harm is of voting. You guys, we get it. You'll probably vote no, but you ought to at least have to hear it.
Actually, I think it's 4 or 5 amendments. But
I'm only asking 2.
I understand. I think the answer is a simple one. Again, about 11:05, we informed your team that there was a bipartisan coalition asking for more amendments that I had taken out. I decided to listen to the bipartisan conversation and come to the conclusion that it was worth moving on. And that is what I'm going to do. And with Senator Warner and other members of your side reinforcing my point, I think the best thing to do is to accept those amendments, hear them, and hear the rebuttals.
I just want to say I'm deeply concerned that law enforcement officials will listen to this and wonder why their point of view couldn't be heard. That community banks will listen to this and wonder why their point of view just couldn't be heard. That's all anyone's asking for. It's 2 minutes in order to get the amendment out, a minute by way of rebuttal, and we're done. But we came in here, lived with the fact that you said, sorry, can't do those, but part of your statement was, and sorry, there are Republican things we can't do as well. So the Democratic position, look, our position should be, it's all of them, but we're willing, I'm just going to say on behalf of my colleagues here, we're willing to settle just for these 2.
And now I'll call up Lummis number 122.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I would request a voice vote as opposed to a roll call vote on this. Okay. Mr. Chairman, I call up my amendment 122 and ask that page 4, lines 1 and 2 be stricken, and I urge its adoption. These are changes to clarify the circumstances in which a DeFi protocol is decentralized in name only and is actually controlled by a small group of persons. And I want to thank Senator Warner for working with me on this.
Rebuttal?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Look, this amendment makes some technical fixes to Section 301 of the bill. It's hard to fix something that's fundamentally broken. Section 301 sets a narrow test for what counts as a crypto intermediary that few will ever meet. It also incorporates Section 604, the same loophole that shields decentralized services from basic anti-money laundering rules, as law enforcement experts have stressed. It doesn't matter if you have rules if nobody has to follow them. The amendment doesn't fix any of those issues, and I urge all my colleagues to oppose this amendment.
I move to strike pages 4, lines 1 and 2. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I call for a roll call vote.
Had a feeling. Clerk will call the roll.
Chairman?
Aye.
Mr. Crapo?
Aye.
Mr. Rounds?
Aye.
Mr. Tillis? Aye. Mr. Kennedy? Aye. Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's aye.
Ms. Lummis?
Aye.
Mrs. Britt? Aye. Mr. Ricketts? Aye. Mr. Banks? Aye. Mr. Kramer? Aye. Mr. Moreno? Aye. Mr. McCormick? Aye. Ms. Warren?
No.
Mr. Reed?
No.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
No.
Ms. Cortez Masto?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
No.
Mr. Warnock?
Yes, by proxy.
Mr. Kim? Mr. Gallego? Ms. Blunt Rochester?
No.
Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 18 in favor and 6 opposed.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask just one parliamentary inquiry? Because I am confused on the process. I understand there were some amendments that were disqualified because of Scrivener's error. And Senator Lummis had some of those, and some of our colleagues had some of those. And I understand the desire to put those back into the mix and have votes. I had amendments that were drawn properly,
Yes.
that were not disqualified at all, including one on anti-touting, Van Hollen 34, and Van Hollen 29 on fair disclosure of information. Those were written exactly right. And so now we're having votes on amendments that you originally declared had not been correctly drafted, and not allowing me and maybe some others to actually vote on amendments that were in order and properly drafted. How does that make sense?
During the Genius Act, we made, we came to a compromise on the number of amendments that we were going to have. It was around 40. I can't remember exactly the number that we had. But ultimately, when the ranking member's side asked for how many amendments we were going to have, I chose the number that we were going to have. I gave our side 5. I gave you all 15. Ranking member chose to work with us to figure out the 15 that you all would have. And ultimately, that's how we got here.
I will just say in conclusion, Mr. Chairman, I believe it's unprecedented to kind of cap the number of in-order amendments.
Actually not.
At this kind of level.
It's not unprecedented, number one. Number two, every time we do a vote around, we compromise on the number of amendments that we have. When we did Genius Act, we compromised on the number of amendments we have, and we're doing it again. The clerk will now call the roll on the 18 to 6 it was.
Already did.
What was it?
The last one, 18 to 6.
The lines have been stricken. We will now move to the amendment itself, Lummis number 122.
The chairman?
As modified? As modified?
Yes.
Please call the roll.
The chairman?
Aye.
Mr. Crapo?
Aye.
Mr. Rounds?
Aye.
Mr. Tillis?
Aye.
Mr. Kennedy? Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's aye.
Ms. Lummis? Aye. Mrs. Britt? Aye. Mr. Ricketts? Aye. Mr. Banks? Aye. Mr. Kramer?
Aye.
Mr. Moreno?
Aye.
Mr. McCormick?
Aye.
Ms. Warren?
No.
Mr. Reed?
No.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
No.
Ms. Cortez Masto?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
No.
Mr. Warnock?
I by proxy.
Mr. Kim? Mr. Gallego?
Aye.
Ms. Blunt Rochester?
No.
Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 18 in favor and 6 opposed.
The amendment as modified is agreed to. We now call up Lummis number 123. Senator Lummis, you are now recognized. Microphone. Thank you, ma'am.
Asking for a voice vote on 123. Mr. Chairman, Amendment 123 makes bipartisan changes with respect to activities that are permissible for banks and credit unions to engage in digital asset activities. These changes include clarifying the trading activities that banks can do and extending applicability to insured credit unions. I urge adoption and yield back.
Senator Warren is recognized for rebuttal.
This amendment makes some modest improvements to Section 401, the part of the bill that drastically expands the crypto-related activities that taxpayer-insured banks are permitted to engage in. Wow.
Heading to the top
but
of the
this
range
one
on
falls
Bitcoin.
far short. Under this amendment, banks would be able to transact in decentralized finance, lend against crypto as collateral, own crypto directly, trade crypto derivatives, and more. What could possibly go wrong? Why are Republicans trying to divert Americans' deposits away from small business lending and mortgage lending? This just makes no sense. If the bill passes, even with this amendment, the next crypto crash could bring down the banks as well and bring down the entire economy. Let's strike this section instead of trying to tweak it along the edges and pretend that that fixes this problem. I urge my colleagues to vote no on Loomis 123.
Clerk, call the roll. Yes.
Mr. Crapo?
Yes.
Mr. Rounds?
What was that last thing you said?
Mr. Tillis?
I said that they've been
Mr. Kennedy?
running it into the ground by themselves enough.
Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's aye.
Yeah.
Ms. Lummis?
Aye.
Mrs. Britt?
Financial crisis in 10 years.
Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks? Mr. Kramer? Mr. Moreno? Mr. McCormick?
Running out of runway here.
Ms. Warren?
No.
Mr. Reed?
No?
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Yeah.
Mr. Van Hollen?
No.
Ms. Cortez Masto? Ms. Smith?
No.
Mr. Warnock?
I by proxy.
Mr. Kim?
Aye.
Mr. Gallego?
Pipe's the only thing still pushing.
Ms. Blunt Rochester?
Aye.
Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 19 in favor and 5 opposed.
I now call up, the amendment is agreed to. I now call up Lummis 124.
Mr. Chairman, Amendment 124 changes an or, strikes an or and adds an and to Section 505 to ensure that the SEC properly carries out a rulemaking for the protection of investors and the benefit of our financial markets. I thank my Democrat colleagues for bringing this amendment to my attention, and I urge everyone to support it.
Senator Warren for a rebuttal.
Look, the problem of tokenization is one of the biggest problems with this bill. And the fix that this amendment proposes in Section 505 gives the idea of a fig leaf a bad name. It is so inadequate. This amendment, through a minor improvement on that section, does not do nearly enough to protect our system from the harm of this bill. As I have said before, the bill creates a system of easy regulation for crypto and easy ways out of securities regulation to this new easy street for crypto. And then to stop the inevitable flow of capital from our traditional markets into crypto that this incentive system will cause, Section 505 ostensibly imposes a requirement of regulatory parity between securities and tokenized securities. It would be one thing if the bill left it at that, but it goes on to weaken that already anemic fix by providing that the SEC actually can treat securities like assets differently in light of the unique technological characteristics of crypto or consistent with the public interest and protecting investors. While the amendment would instead require the SEC to base its exceptions on the unique characteristics of crypto and whether or not it is in the interest of the public and investors, it does nothing to change the fact that this exception to the requirement of regulatory parity threatens to swallow the entire rule. I urge my colleagues to oppose it.
Clerk will call the roll. Yes.
Mr. Crapo?
Aye.
Mr. Rounds?
Aye.
Mr. Tillis? Mr. Kennedy? Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's aye.
Ms. Lummis?
Aye.
Mrs. Britt?
Aye.
Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks? Mr. Kramer? Mr. Moreno? Mr. McCormick? Ms. Warren?
No.
Mr. Reed?
No.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
No.
Ms. Cortez Masto? Ms. Smith?
No.
Mr. Warnock?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Kim? Mr. Gallego? Ms. Blunt Rochester?
No.
Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
We're getting heavier to the south.
The vote is 18 in favor and 11 opposed, or 6 opposed.
The amendment is agreed to. We now go to Lummis 125. Senator Lummis, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I urge adoption of amendment number 125. This amendment adds a bipartisan provision to address insider trading for ancillary assets. And I want to thank my colleagues on this committee for the work we all did together to come to an agreement on this amendment. I'm proud of all of us, and I urge support.
Senator Warren for rebuttal.
Well, at face value, this amendment applies existing security laws prohibiting insider trading to crypto assets, and that's a goal I would wholeheartedly support if it were even close to enough to address the issue. But this amendment attempts to use a wine cork to plug a school bus-sized hole that is created in our securities laws by this bill. Look, at its core, the bill provides easier rules for crypto and easy ways for them to escape securities regulation and get to this more lax regulatory environment. Issuers of securities only have to put securities on the blockchain and then self-certify that securities laws don't apply, and the rules start to fall away. So while the amendment calls for ancillary assets to be covered by insider trading prohibitions, it does absolutely nothing to address the fact that the bill has created so many routes for instruments that share all the features of securities not to be considered ancillary assets at all, and therefore to be totally exempt from the securities laws, including the ones addressed by this amendment. So, while I support stamping out insider trading in all its forms, this fix is far from adequate to address the issue, and it gives the public a false sense of security that somehow they're going to be safe from insider trading in crypto, because they will not be safe. The insiders are going to run the game. So I urge my colleagues to vote no.
The clerk will call the roll. Yes.
Mr. Crapo?
Aye.
Mr. Rounds?
Aye.
The people who insider
Mr.
trade every
Tillis?
day are voting on insider trading. Sounds
Mr.
good.
Kennedy? Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's aye.
Ms. Lummis?
Aye.
Mrs. Britt?
Aye.
Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks?
This is fine.
Mr. Kramer? Mr. Moreno? Mr. McCormick? Ms. Warren?
No.
Mr. Reed?
No.
I'm gonna need some cards.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
No.
Ms. Cortez Masto?
We're gonna push a little bit, maybe to
Ms. Smith?
exactly we're gonna roll over. It's all close.
No.
Roll over to where?
Mr. Warnock?
That's the signal.
Aye by
Local
proxy.
pocket. What's the local pocket?
Mr. Kim?
Just look to the left where the rally started.
Mr. Gallego?
They're all at that line.
79.
Ms. Blunt Rochester?
79.
No.
Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 18 in favor and 6 opposed.
78 forward.
The amendment is agreed to. I now call up Lummis 126. Senator Lummis, you are now recognized.
Mr. Chairman, I move amendment number 126 and encourage its adoption. The purpose is to provide investor and consumer protection enforcement. This is bipartisan to provide for a system of regulation of the offer and sale of digital commodities by the SEC and CFTC. And I encourage and I thank again my colleagues for working on this on a bipartisan basis and urge its adoption.
Ranking Member Warren is recognized for rebuttal.
So I think we should call this one Fig Leaf number 9. This amendment claims to restore state-level consumer and investor protections and the ability of harmed investors to sue, but it is so riddled with exceptions and caveats and loopholes that it's pretty much meaningless. Now, to be clear, one of the bill's most serious fatal flaws is that it guts state enforcement authority, a point that Senator Cortez Masto has made over and over. And I offered an amendment that comprehensively protected all those authorities, but that amendment was blocked by the chair. I offered it because for decades, state securities regulators have acted as frontline cops on the beat in all 50 states, rooting out fraud and scams in markets, particularly in those that affect individuals or small dollar amounts that may not get priority from federal law enforcement.
She's never
this
looked up and
provides
said something
a
without
critical
reading
additional
it
layer of
the entire
enforcement
day.
capacity on top of federal watchdogs like the SEC to make sure that every individual who is harmed has a chance of being made whole and that the wrongdoers are held accountable. As the crypto industry has grown, so have the scams. As Donald Trump's federal regulators abdicate any responsibility for holding crypto criminals accountable, these state-level cops are the law-abiding American people's only line of defense. This bill already guts the SEC's ability to protect investors from the worst instances of fraud, insider trading, and market manipulation. But it also tramples on states' rights, blocking state authorities from enforcing many of their own laws, including those that fight fraud and illegal conduct in these markets. Eliminating these protections and remedies that consumers have already under state law will leave crypto holding consumers sitting ducks for fraud and far worse off than they would be without any crypto market structure bill at all. If this amendment actually did something, I would support it. But it actually does nothing, only fool people to pretend it's doing something. I urge a no vote.
Clerk will call the roll.
The chairman?
Aye.
Mr. Crapo?
Aye.
Mr. Rounds?
Aye.
Mr. Tillis? Mr. Kennedy? Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's aye.
Ms. Lummis? Mrs. Britt? Mr. Ricketts? Mr. Banks? Mr. Kramer? Mr. Moreno? Mr. McCormick? Ms. Warren?
No.
Mr. Reed?
No.
Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
No.
Ms. Cortez Masto? Ms. Smith?
No.
Mr. Warnock?
Aye by proxy.
Mr. Kim?
No.
Mr. Geigo?
Aye.
Ms. Blunt Rochester?
No.
Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 18 in favor and 6 opposed.
The amendment is agreed to. There are no further amendments.
Mr. Chair? Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I would like to actually offer Reed Smith 95. I know that this amendment has been
Out of
ruled
order?
out of order.
Out of order. There are no further amendments. The question is now on ordering the bill HR 3633, the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act of 2025, reported as amended. The clerk will call the roll. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. President.
The clerk will call the roll.
The chairman?
Aye.
Mr. Crapo?
Aye.
Mr. Rounds?
Aye.
Mr. Tillis?
Aye.
Mr. Kennedy?
Aye.
Mr. Haggerty?
Aye.
Ms. Lummis?
Aye.
Mrs. Britt?
Aye.
Mr. Ricketts?
Aye.
Mr. Banks? Mr. Kramer?
Aye.
Mr. Moreno? Mr. McCormick?
Aye.
Ms. Warren?
No.
Mr. Reed?
No.
Mr. Warner?
No.
Mr. Van Hollen?
No.
Ms. Cortez Masto?
No.
Ms. Smith?
No.
Mr. Warnock?
No by proxy.
Mr. Kim?
No.
Mr. Geigo? Ms. Blunt Rochester?
No.
Ms. Alsobrooks?
Aye.
The vote is 15 in favor and 9 opposed.
The ayes have it. HR 3633 is hereby ordered reported as amended to the full Senate. I ask unanimous consent that the staff be allowed to make technical and conforming changes and that the cordon rule be waived. Any objection? Hearing no objection, so ordered. Is there any member who would like to give a statement?
Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman?
Senator Moreno?
First of all, I want to thank all my colleagues for their hard work on this. I think there's still some work to be done. Section 301 specifically, I think we need to work on to make that even better. But specifically, I just want to call out my two staffers, Sophia and Lindsay, for the hard work that they put in. And I'm sure all of you have Sophia's and Lindsay that I think we need to give them a unanimous round of applause for their hard work.
Mr. Chair? Mr. Chair?
Senator Alsobrooks?
I'd like to say a few words on the bill. The digital revolution is upon us, and it has presented a clear opportunity to support small businesses, generate wealth, and I believe spur innovation. And the truth is this digital revolution is happening with us or without us. Whether or not we regulate it to create the rules of the road or not, it is here. I have a 20-year-old daughter, and she and her peers have made it abundantly clear to me that they are interested in this innovation, that they believe that the digital revolution is important, and they want not only to be able to participate in it safely, but they want what every American wants: true and growing economic opportunity, the opportunity to become wealthy, to have generational wealth. And so that is why I am at the table. I've been in negotiations for over 9 months, working toward regulating digital assets in a way that protects consumers and reduces the risk of deposit flight while still allowing innovation to happen. I have negotiated in good faith with colleagues on both sides of the aisle, and I want to thank them so much for all of their hard work. And in recognition of that good faith, I have voted yes to advance the bill today. Now, I want to be abundantly clear. My vote today is a vote to keep working in good faith. It does not mean that I'll be voting for the passage of the Clarity Act on the floor, because we still have so much work to do. I'm aware that we need to find a workable way to address law enforcement's concerns about financial crimes. I'm a former prosecutor, and I know how important this is. We also need to incorporate an ethics agreement that would apply not only to the president and vice president, but to all of us. The American people, especially my constituents, expect that from us. And we need to work with our colleagues on the Agriculture Committee on their product, which still needs work. I'll keep working with my colleagues to get this done. Americans from every background and every community deserve to benefit financially from this digital revolution and to be protected from the risks that come with it. If we don't act, we'll get left behind, and I simply will not let that happen. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
I think Senator Hagerty is next, and then Senator Tillis. Or Senator Britt, and then Tillis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Ladies first. Senator Hagerty, please continue.
Okay.
Then ladies first. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you. This bill creates a market structure framework for digital assets. It's going to supercharge innovation here in America. We've been long waiting this. Less than a year ago, this committee advanced the Genius Act, and it has promoted a tremendous world-leading regulatory framework for stablecoins. The act that we're going to pass today promises to do the same thing for all digital assets. And I want to thank you, Chairman Scott, for your leadership and for your commitment to me to work on technical fixes to the Genius Act that we have bipartisan agreement on. And I want to thank Senator Alsobrooks, Senator Warner, and Senator Moreno for working with me on this bipartisan fix, and look forward to getting that implemented in the next iteration of this bill. Thank you.
Senator Britt.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your leadership on this and everyone who took so much time and energy to help get this where it is today, in particular, Senator Lummis. You have put heart and soul into this, countless hours, because you want to make sure that we innovate here on our shores. You want to make sure that each and every person has the opportunity that they wouldn't otherwise, and it has been an honor to work with you on this and to watch you lead. In particular as well, Senator Tillis and Senator Brooks, thank you for your tireless advocacy to make sure that we got this right. I do hope that this committee continues to look at ways that we can provide relief for community banks. There are a number of places where we have seen overburdensome regulations, things that were not intended to apply to a certain group, and we know that they're the lifeblood of our main streets and our small towns. And so I hope that we continue to look at that and look for ways to work together, even on this piece of legislation. In particular, Senator Cruz and I have a piece of legislation, the Community Bank Relief Act. We know when the Durbin Amendment was passed in 2010 that it ultimately, there were about 7,500 community banks that were exempt during that time, and now today there are at least or fewer than 4,500. So I think there are several entities there that were never intended to be burdened by that regulation, and I think we should fix it. That's one example of things that we can do to make sure that we're looking at the entire ecosystem, and I hope as we move forward that we'll be committed to doing just that. But thank you for your work, and look forward to seeing this through.
Senator Tillis and then Senator Blunt-Rochester.
Very, very briefly, I just wanted to associate myself with the comments made by Senator Gallego earlier about the work that we have to do. And with respect to what Senator Brooks just discussed, we're going to keep the same spirit of negotiations going that we have up to this point. I want to thank Senator Lummis because she and her staff, who deserves a long weekend, they all do, but especially Chris. They thank them for their hard work. But I also want to talk to the stakeholders out here. You know, people know that I'm in disagreement with some of the banking community, but I've been with them before. I'm going to be with them again, and I'm willing to listen to ways that we can make this bill better as it moves forward. But we really must move forward. So, to the stakeholders who are satisfied with the bill, great. To the ones who want more work, you have my commitment to continue to treat you in the same professional manner that I've requested of my staff all along the way. And Mr. Chair, thank you for your patience, and thank you for your leadership in getting this mark done.
Senator Blunt-Rochester.
Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member, and to all of the members of the committee, and to all of our staff who have spent countless hours, even through holidays, to work on this. That is because it is so consequential to our country and our economy. And because it's so consequential, it is important to get it right. For my state of Delaware, we have more crypto ATMs per capita than any other state. We've had the AARP come in. While they support the provision that was in it, they haven't put out a statement that they support the whole bill because there are still concerns. My community banks, I am concerned still.
Who uses crypto ATMs?
Insider trading was one of the things that for me, people could understand. And in this environment, there is a lot of concern. And so what I hope, and while I am, again, grateful to the group that has worked very hard and tirelessly, after the Genius Act, for me, I can't take a handshake. I want the work to happen in committee. And a part that was really missing were hearings. There were a lot of members of this committee who said to me, I don't understand what this is. If we don't understand it, how can we legislate? And so as we move forward, I appreciate the good faith efforts. And I think we still have work to do. And I look forward to working with all of my colleagues, but particularly on behalf of the American people, because this is too big for us to fail. I yield back.
Thank you. Senator Lummis, comments?
I just want to add my thanks, Mr. Chairman, to you. To everyone on our side of the aisle who's worked so hard, to those of you on the other side that have worked so hard, and to a lot of the people that have informed the decision-making that's involved in this bill. Particular thanks to the folks from Treasury and Patrick Witt from the White House. Honestly, without their involvement, I don't think we could have gotten as much done. The agencies went from offering technical assistance to really rolling up their sleeves and helping with this bill. And our staffs, particularly Chris Land, my staffer, I can't say enough about your dedication to this. As I've said to Chris many times, we're the dogs that caught the tire. And it kept spinning and our heads kept beating against the pavement, but we can't let go because we caught the tire. And we're not going to let go of the tire until people on both sides of the aisle are satisfied that this is a product we can all be proud of. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely. Let me just finally say this process has been one of the most informative and challenging processes I've been through as a United States Senator. I will also say that it has been one of the most transparent times and processes I've seen with members on both sides of the aisle and industry all in the same room at the same time for hours upon hours upon hours. Any suggestion that somehow this was done without a process that was available to all members, undeniably, factually, patently false. I will say that the members Gallego, also Brooks, Warner, CCM, Catherine, as well as Britt, Rounds, Lummis, Tillis, and Moreno, the number of hours that you all spent talking to each other and getting to know each other better is unbelievable. How Gallego and Moreno continue to talk is a shock to me, but truly all things are possible. Colombians both of them, but thank God for that part. I also want to acknowledge the fact that Senator Gallego worked with Patrick Witt from the White House, tons and tons of hours trying to thread a needle. And I will say that without Patrick and the White House engaging with Democrats, this first step, it's not even the last step, this first step would not have been accomplished in a bipartisan fashion. Without Ryan.
It was down to 81-1 there for a second.
Tyler Williams, excuse me, Tyler, there you are. Looking for you over there. Working together with our staff, it would not have been possible to find ourselves where we are today. And I want to thank all staff, but particularly Janie and my staff for their profound impact on this process. You all have worked, I know for sure, thousands of hours over the last few months just on this piece of legislation. At 1:30 last night and at 4 a.m. this morning, I was still getting texts from you all and responding at 4 in my heart. 5 for real. But literally, this process has been one that has been, I think, quite educational. And I hope that we have a successful process on the floor. But I know one thing for sure, that when you all say
do I hear
you're going to continue to work on it,
81-9, anybody? 81-9, 81-9, 81-9.
Warner,
Do I hear
once
82?
again, thank you for your dedication through some challenging times. You kept working. And may the Lord bless your family, the challenges. And CCM, I've gotten to know you a lot better. Appreciate you. I know we don't always get to the final point, but we're going to get there at some point. And thank you for your hard work and staying the course, no matter how you vote on the floor. With that, meeting adjourned.
All right. And there we have it. Wow. All right, after all that, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go play some pickleball.
Juan said it's 83, but it's probably just going to be like 82 flat, give or take. Yeah.
That's where we
were.
Yeah, that's where we were, right? Sunday.
Haven't gone anywhere. Yeah.
We were there Sunday and Wednesday, May 6th. Yeah. All right. ladies and gentlemen. Well, thank you guys so much. Thanks to everybody listening on the YouTube stream, X stream. Had a bunch of people listening in. So, yeah, appreciate everybody. And we'll be back tomorrow to close out the week right here on the Crypto Breakfast Club. Make sure you guys follow all the great speakers up here. Also, follow Nexus Prospera. It's a... Paige and I started a new thing. I know we talked about it a little bit. We started a new cryptocurrency agency, and we're trying to get that account, up over 1,000 followers. We're doing a giveaway. Check out my pinned post. Love to have you guys sign up and trade with us over at BitFi, Toobit, or both. Some great perks there that you won't get if you're just signing up by yourself. So they're great partners of ours. They make this whole thing possible and allow us to show up every day. Otherwise, I'd be working a regular 9 to 5 and I wouldn't be able to do it. So, yeah, if you are trading, come on over and check us out over there at BitFi, Toobit. I've also got a free crypto newsletter. I don't talk about this as much. I should. I got a free crypto newsletter. You can find it in the description of all my videos. You can find it in my link tree. It's the top link, totally free. We send out 2 reports a week. I've got a great team who works on that for us. Keeping you up to speed on news, insights, things that are going on that you may or may not have seen. I know everybody's living a fast-paced, busy life. So, yeah, check out my link tree. You can find the newsletter there as well. And, yeah, just make sure you follow our main account, CBC, and all of us up here. And we will be back tomorrow to close out the week, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. We are live Monday through Friday, the CBC. Appreciate you guys for rocking with us. Have a good rest of your day.